Welcome to the Northwest Sports Fanatics YouTube channel. I am your host, Orion. I got a great show for you here today between the Seattle Mariners and the Kansas City Royals. First pitch is going to be here in just a couple minutes, so we're going to cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get into the starting lineups. Happy Friday, everyone. And on the thumb, on the left, the best center fielder in the game, Julio Rodriguez. And on the right, one of the best shortstops in the game, Bobby Witt Jr. Now let's get into the starting lineups here first for the visiting Seattle Mariners. Leading off for the Mariners at shortstop, J.P. Crawford. Batting second, playing center field, Julio Rodriguez. Batting third, playing left field, Randy Arozarena. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, DHing for Seattle, Rob Refsnyder. Batting fifth, playing first base, Patrick Wisdom. Batting sixth, playing second base, Cole Young. Batting seventh, catching today for Seattle, Mitch Garver. Batting eighth, playing right field, Victor Robles. Welcome back to the team, Victor. And batting ninth, playing third base, Colt Emerson. And on the mound for the Mariners with a 2-4 record, ERA of 4.45, it is Logan Gilbert. Apologize, I got so many of the thumbs on hand, clicked on the wrong one from the previous game. Got to move this one over. And now let's get into the starting lineups for the home Kansas City Royals. Leading off for the Royals at third base is Michael Garcia. Batting second, shortstop, Bobby Witt Jr. Batting third, playing first base, Vinny Pasquantino. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, catching today, Salvador Perez. First pitch into JP in there for a strike. Batting fifth, DHing Carter Jensen. Batting sixth, right fielder Jack Caglione. Batting seventh, left fielder Isaac Collins. Batting eighth, second baseman Michael Massey. And batting ninth, center fielder Kyle Isbell. 0-2 pitch, low and into the dirt to J.P. Crawford. And on the mound for the Kansas City Royals with a 2-3 record, ERA of 5.40, it is Noah Cameron. One-two pitch, high and inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford. 2-2 pitch, a little slow dribbler up the middle, throw to first, and that is 1 away. Down goes J.P. Crawford. Next up is Julio Rodriguez. First pitch is high and inside to Julio, 1-0 count. One-0 pitch, little dribbler towards third base, and it ends up being fair. Go, Julio, go. And Julio is scrambling from first and gets a stand-up double to second base. Let's go, Julio. HR in the building, what's good? Angry in the building, what's good? Garrison in the building. Ian in the building from Australia, how are you? Grip in the building, what's good? And again, I apologize for not being able to start a little bit sooner. I was busy making 3 thumbnails for today, tomorrow, and Sunday, and trying to get all the photos lined up the best that I could. Next up is Randy Arozarena. First pitch is high and away, 4-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, high and away. Good take there by Randy. Four-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour, high and away by Noah Cameron. 2 balls and no strikes to Randy Arosarena. 2-0 pitch, high and away. Count now is 3 balls and no strikes to Randy Arosarena. 3-0 pitch, takes a strike looking high and away. 3 balls and 1 strike with a runner at second, Julio Rodriguez with 1 out. Top of the first inning, 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Royals. Jim in the building, what's good? All day in the building, what's good? 3-1 pitch, and it ends up going behind the catcher, not going all the way back to the backstop to Salvador Perez. But now we have runners at first and second with Randy forcing a walk. Good start here so far. Julio Rodriguez with a stand-up double. Randy forces a walk with 5 pitches after JP dribbled out. And next up in the 4-hole, DHing is Rob Refsnyder. Let's go, Rob. First pitch with the little check swing. Did he go around? Yes, he did. And a line drive there by Rob towards third base and foul. With the corresponding move with Victor Robles coming back to the team and starting in his first game, since we are going against a lefty, that means that Connor Joe goes to AAA. I know that's not going to really hurt anybody's feelings because we know with Refsnyder and Joe, very hit or miss. But again, I'm really happy that Victor is back. 0-2 pitch, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Rob Refsnyder. Now, again, Victor, since he has had this injury, he may end up being similar stat-wise to Refsnyder and Joe early on, but you have to assume, at some point, the defense should be pretty good in right field, you would assume, and hopefully he'll be able to steal some bags, maybe drop a bunt down from time to time, and every once in a while, get a single or a double and, help the team win. And again, Victor gives you good vibes only, just like Eugenio Suarez, and I feel like him and Randy and Julio have a good vibe out there in the outfield. 1-2 pitch. Clobbers that one into deep left field. Back, fading foul. Crushed the hell out of that one. What a big hit there by Refsnyder. We haven't seen him connect like that on, home run balls or foul balls to that nature, that deep. And maybe that's a sign for Rob here moving forward. And at least they don't have Rob leading off when we're going against a lefty, but still in the 4-hole, it's too high. 1-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and down goes Refsnyder, and that is 2 away. It makes you kind of wonder. It's like, why do you have Refsnyder usually leading off? And then, the reason that Rob is at DH is because Victor Robles is back. And they, obviously are going against a left-handed pitcher, so they needed to be able to, squeeze in, another batter since Connor Joe ended up going to AAA for Robles. So, because normally when we have Rob play against a lefty, he plays in right field, and then, usually they'll have someone else, DH. So I guess they could have had Rob in right field and Victor DHing, but I think they want Victor to get back to playing in right field to give us a little bit of stability, offense and defense. So I think that's why they chose that particular, starting position for Rob at DH and Victor in right field. And I'd rather have Victor in right, but again, Rob has actually robbed a home run in right field and has been decent, in right field when he gets that opportunity. 1-1 pitch to Patrick Wisdom, high and inside. 2 balls and 1 strike from Cameron to Wisdom. And Wisdom is playing first base today for Josh Naylor, who's got the day off. Normally playing third base while we were waiting for, obviously, the transition of J.P. Crawford to potentially play a little bit of third base. Sounds like he went to the management and the coaching staff and, wants to be a part of this Mariner organization past this year. So if that means giving up shortstop and playing third base in a platoon role, he's willing to do it. So, he does have experience, playing a little bit of third base, back in the early stages of his career. Obviously still something that he would have to kind of pick up on, but we'll see how that transition and works if they go that route. 2-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Wisdom. That is out number 3. We leave 2 stranded, and let's go to the bottom of the first inning and see who's up next here for the Royals. So it sounds like they may end up doing a little bit of platooning, at third and in right field. And, Cole Emerson obviously is going to be best, playing shortstop with Cole at second. But again, they're going to put these individuals, Emerson and JP, where they feel suited the best at the time being. And there's no guarantee JP's on the team next year or Luis Castillo, but sounds like JP is willing to play another position if needed. But the thing that kind of alarms me is that if he can't really play shortstop and that's his position with wild sidearm throws, how is he going to play third base? You're still going to be an average to below average hitter. You're still forcing walks, which is great, but again, defensively, we need someone we can trust. And if we can't really trust you at short, and that's your normal position, how are we going to trust you at third? We definitely need Donnie back and Cal back, but it is what it is. Let's go to the bottom of the first inning. 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Royals. Leading off for the Royals at third base, Michael Garcia. Batting second at shortstop, Bobby Witt Jr. And batting third, first baseman, Vinny Pasquantino. And on the mound for the Mariners with the 2-4 record, ERA of 4.45, it is Logan Gilbert. 50th anniversary for the Seattle Mariners, 40 plus years on the radio. Riz is retiring after the season, so every game that we do here on the channel will be dedicated to Rick Riz, as well as in baseball heaven, Dave Niehaus. Let's win it for Riz and let's win it for Niehaus. Tridents up, let's go M's. $20 subs away from 24,100. First pitch, right down the middle. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour there by Logan Gilbert, 0-1 count. Yeah, definitely Rob does not get on enough, but again, we're going against a lefty, so that's the reason that they put him there. If we were going against a righty, then that's Dominic Canzone. So, again, that's just the, platooning that they're going to do, and obviously you would want someone better than Rob, at DH, but again, they need right-handed bats when we go against lefties, and sometimes this is what's going to happen. Considering they decided to let Connor Joe, go down. Maybe Joe, would have been worth, maybe more keeping than Refsnyder, but again, they decided to go with Joe since Victor Robles is back and he's playing right field today, which normally Refsnyder would be in. And again, we'll see if we can get better, players in these spots moving forward, but this is what it is. 1-2 pitch. And a big strike 3 looking. Nice job. Michael Garcia goes down, and a good start there for Walter, a.k.a. Logan Gilbert. Lauren in the building. What's good? And that's kind of the issue when you don't have enough right-handed bats, where sometimes you end up having to have a player that's not very good in Refsnyder, to fill into that spot. So first pitch to Bobby Witt Jr. is high and away, takes a strike looking, four-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour by Gilbert, who's looking good early on. 0-1 count to Bobby Witt. 0-1 pitch, low and away, slider 87 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike from Gilbert to Witt. Bottom of the first inning, 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Royals. One pitch. Whoa. Very close to hitting Bobby in the face there. Had to run away from home plate. And thankfully, Mitch Garver was able to get that glove up just in time and getting it right on the end of the mitt. Otherwise, that could have been disaster for Bobby Witt Jr. And we know as an organization, we're not a dirty team. Sometimes those baseballs will, slip out of the grip a little bit, so to speak. And thankfully, Garver was able to get that. 2 balls and 1 strike to Bobby Witt Jr. 2-1 pitch. Fouled off behind the plate to Bobby Witt Jr. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Gilbert to Witt. Puppy is doing much better. The redness definitely has gone away, and it's starting, her inner ear is starting to look like a normal ear again. Instead of being red and irritated, she's not scratching anymore since we got some anti-itch medicine from the vet as well. 3-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and down goes Bobby Witt Jr. 2 up and 2 down. Fantastic start here, from a guy that might have been closer, to Luis Castillo rather than closer to maybe, Bryce Miller, Brian Wu, or George Kirby. And again, we want to make sure we have, 4 out of 5 starters that we can trust, unless we can get 5 out of 5. But if Castillo ends up going to the pen, Logan would probably be the worst one out of the 5, but I still have faith that he can turn it around. I think he's closer to Hancock and Bryce Miller era, right now, based on the skill set, even though he did start off pretty terrible to start off the year, and he's still kind of shaky. He's not obviously on point like Kirby and Wu are most of the time. Miller has looked great in his first couple starts, and then Hancock, has looked good early, but lately has been kind of up and down as well. So, hopefully we can get some good run support for Gilbert and Hancock, so that way they can be right there with Miller, Wu, and Kirby, and then we can just leave Castillo in the pen where he belongs. Next up is Vinny Pasquantino, 1-1 pitch. Low and at the knees, low and away. 2 balls and 1 strike from Vinny Pasquantino. Bottom of the first inning, 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Royals. Logan Gilbert on the mound, Vinny Pasquantino in the box. 2-1 pitch, popped up behind the plate and foul. Slider 85 miles an hour by Walter, a.k.a. Logan Gilbert. 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. He's got 2 punch outs on Garcia and Witt so far. And again, he had his season high of 9 a few games ago that we couldn't get the dub on. But hopefully we'll be able to get the dub here in Victor Robles' first game in the 2026 season. 2-2 pitch, line drive, and it dribbles to left field to Randy, and Vinny Pasquantino with a single on Logan Gilbert. Chris with a 20, appreciate you for your love and support to the channel. We're at 20 on the Dono train, 80 to go. Shout out to Chris, appreciate you very, very much. Let him know all day. Next up, one of the most, dominating players at that position in his career, even though the numbers this year are starting to be a little bit more human-like, Salvador Perez. He's only batting .211 right now, but you have to assume at some point that will be closer to 300 rather than closer to 200. And again, he has been kind of one of those players that is a thorn in our side, like Jose Altuve and Yordan Alvarez for the Astros. 0-1 pitch, popped up into right field. Victor Robles is there, and there he is. Victor Robles making his first out in the 2026 season. And I love Victor, again, and, with Rob Refsnyder and, Connor Joe went to AAA, I've been kind of waiting, to be able to have Victor Robles. And again, let's be honest, Victor Robles prior to the injury in San Francisco last year, was playing really well, could have ended up being, the leadoff hitter for the whole year, but once he got hurt, they had to, flirt with the idea with Julio and then eventually Randy, and then once he ended up going into the wall, netting barrier, and ended up injuring himself for pretty much the whole season, got him at the very end. He really wasn't the same hitter, or player, since the injury. But again, another injury going into 2026. Hopefully he'll be injury free the rest of the way. I don't expect him to be batting 300 plus, but hopefully, he can get to a point sooner than later, batting 250 to 280 and, can steal some bags, get a single or double, bunt once in a while, steal a base here and there, and then play some good defense in right field for us. Good vibes only. Victor Robles is back. Let's go to the top of the second inning, and we're knotted up at 0. Let's see who's up next here for the Mariners. Next up for the Mariners in the 6th hole, second baseman Cole Young. Batting second in the 7th hole, catching today, Mitch Garver. And welcome back to the team. I've missed you. Right fielder in the 8th hole, Victor Robles. And we have to assume Victor's not going to be playing right field every day. We assume it's only going to be when we go against left-handed pitching, but you never know. Maybe, this is what they're going to do, and maybe Victor can solidify that spot so that we don't have to platoon there. And then we can get, hopefully, Dominic Canzone, playing every day at DH. But of course, it seems like they're not there yet. We need Luke Raley to be playing as well. I think having Luke Raley at DH would have made more sense. But again, since we're going against a left-handed pitcher, I guess Dan Wilson assumes that having a righty is going to give him a better chance. But if the righty is batting like 100 or under 100, I think I would take our chance, with Luke Raley. Obviously, with the home runs that he has and the ribbies that he has, I think that we would all expect, him going 0 for 4 and striking out 4 times rather than having Refsnyder play at all. We want our best players playing. So again, you're not going to be able to substitute everyone, and again, if you're going to let a guy like JP Crawford play all the time, who isn't the greatest hitter either, why are we not letting Luke and Dominic Canzone play relatively every day? And I get it. We have other players on the team and you need to get some, those guys some playing time, but it's like, we're not really in the greatest position record-wise. We need to play our best players. But again, Dan will be Dan, just like Scott will be Scott, our previous manager as well. 1-1 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike to Cole Young. I mean, me personally, and I know a lot of you guys would probably agree, you guys would rather see Luke and Canzone play every day, but this is where we're at. Flip to first, and just in time for Cole Young, and that is 1 away. Dave in the building, what's good? Like for me, regardless if it's a lefty or a righty, yeah, we know that sometimes, Canzone will go off and, have days where he goes 3 for 4, but there's also going to be days where he struggles and goes 0 for 4 or 0 for 5. Same thing with Luke Raley, but I feel a hell of a lot more confident with Canzone and Raley, playing, whether it's DH for Canzone and he's just hitting, or for a guy like Luke Raley to play offense and defense. And then again, if you got a guy like Victor Robles who's back and you want him to play right field, fine. Let's put Luke Raley at DH or Dom, not Rob Refsnyder. But, that extra right-handed bat only works if the player is fucking good, not if a guy is just right-handed. But I guess Dan doesn't know the difference. 1-0 pitch, high and inside. 2 balls and no strikes to Mitch Garver. 2-0 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and at the knees. Cutter 90 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and 1 out. Top of the second inning. Noah Cameron on the mound, Mitch Garver in the box. But I am excited that Victor is back, and hopefully if they decide to have Victor go full-time there, which I'm not sure if they will, it just feels like they're platooning, right field and third base, and we'll just see how that goes. But, wouldn't it be nice to get a little bit more structure, and we'll see how that plays out. 2-2 pitch, high and away. 4-seam fastball on the corner, but just high and away, maybe by a half inch, if maybe not even that. 93 miles an hour there by Cameron. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Mitch Garver. 3-2 pitch, and they say that's strike 3. I don't know. That one kind of looked inside, no challenge on the ABS, and let's look. It looks like it's right on the line. So if he would have challenged, probably would have lost. And that is 2 away. Next up in the 8th hole, right fielder Victor Robles. First pitch into Victor Robles is in there for a strike. Curveball low and at the knees, 78 miles an hour, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Victor Robles. I mean, with Victor back, there might be an opportunity to send Refsnyder down to AAA and bring up another player. Would be nice. Like, imagine if sending Ref Snyder to AAA and we bring up Cade Anderson, even though he's still raw and he's still got a ways to go, but, throw him in the pen, he could help us get some outs rather than having someone not really do anything for us and Rob. No offense to Ref Snyder, but he's just not a good player for us. 1-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and down goes Robles in his first at bat. And that is out number 3. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Next up for the Royals in the 5-hole, DHing Carter Jensen. Batting second in the 6-hole, right fielder Jack Caglione. And batting third in the 7-hole, left fielder Isaac Collins. And on the mound for the Mariners, 2-4 record, coming in with a 4.45 ERA, Logan Gilbert. Remember, he started off the year 0-2, so he's starting to kind of get there, but he's still, not even on the Hancock-Miller level, closer to Castillo to anything, but at least he does have a couple wins, and again, last start he had 9 Ks, even though he wasn't able to get the victory, and hopefully the bats will help him out here today. 20 subs to go to 24,100. Shout out to our female audience that we have on the channel. We've been gaining a lot of ground with the females all over the world watching the channel. And shout out to everyone watching in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, above and beyond. I appreciate everyone watching from all over the globe. It definitely means a lot. We're at 20 on the Dono train. 80 to go to hit our Dono goal, because Chris is our MVP early on, hitting us with a nice $20 holla. 80 to go. And we are at 35 likes so far, 65 to hit 100. Shout out to my boy Bricks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, whatever way we have to get rid of him, put him on waivers, if we are allowed to, send him to AAA, cut him, whatever, at some point, you just got to be able to move on and whatnot. And especially if Victor, can end up being healthy, for the remaining period. We don't really need him anymore. Really, we had him and Connor Joe just for those extra right-handed bats, but both players really haven't done enough, to earn a spot, to be on this team every day. When we're injured and we're in need, maybe, but at this point, not so much. 1-1 pitch to Carter Jensen. Jensen pops it up. And it's fading foul, out of play. And this is the City Connect uniform where they have this splash of pink that they've been able to, kind of give you those 90 vibes, with the colors that were so prevalent in the 1990s. A lot of turquoise, a lot of pink, a lot of swirls. If you go back and look at the clothes and, the hype around the Charlotte Hornets starter jackets and whatnot. And I don't mind the look. It's not necessarily their normal look. Normally there's no pink at all. But the pink and the blue with the white, it does mesh well. And it doesn't look too bad. It's definitely different, as far as baseball, standards in the MLB. But, we're definitely seeing a little bit more creativity with the jerseys. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes they're, not the greatest look, depending on the team and whatnot. But, I imagine Kansas City Royal fans like them. Gives them a reason to go get another jersey. It may not be as clean as our City Connects, that actually match, the color of what we used to wear. And I think is, a little bit more put together, but again, I've definitely seen City Connect jerseys that are much worse than these ones that have pink, red, or pink, blue, with a little bit of white involved as well. 2-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and down goes Carter Jensen. I like what I'm seeing here early out of our guy, Logan Gilbert. Essentially our 5-hole pitcher now, and he's doing good. 3 Ks already. No walks. We like that. And if we can get his ERA down to the high 2s or in the mid 3s, that's where he normally should be. But obviously starting off 0-2 and not having a very good year overall, better than Luis Castillo, but maybe that's it. Everyone else looks better. Hancock, Miller in his first 2 starts, and especially our strong aces in George Kirby and Brian Wu are best. But that doesn't mean that Logan can't come back and end up getting an above 500 record before the year's over. It's definitely possible. 1-0 pitch to Caglione. Big swing and a miss. Slider 86 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody on and 1 out. Bottom of the second inning. 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Royals. Logan Gilbert on the mound. Jack Caglione in the box. 1-1 pitch. Low and at the knees. 2 balls and 1 strike to Jack Caglione. I mean, I had a Charlotte Hornet starter jacket. The teal was a vibe. And again, whether it's trapper keepers, depending on how old you are and whatnot, these things will either make sense or it'll go over your head. 2-1 pitch, high and away, but in there for a strike on the corner. But even the fast food restaurants, like Taco Bell, kind of ended up taking on that role. As well. I don't know what it was about the colors and the swirls and the fashion for boys and girls back then, but, we definitely grew up and we lived it. 2-2 pitch, low and at the knees. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Gilbert to Caglione. Three-two pitch. And a line drive up the middle. And Julio diving on his knees. No fly zone. And that is 2 away. Wow. I didn't expect Julio to kind of, run up for that ball. Lately he's kind of letting them drop in front of him. But again, when you're close enough, as long as you're not going to dive and miss, and then it turns into a triple or an inside the park home run, you are out there, as a defender, and we trust you more than anybody in right or in left. And again, even though we know Robles and Randy are pretty good on pop-ups, and, Randy, only really the liability with him is hustle and then ground balls into his area. But everything else, Randy is excellent at. First pitch to Isaac Collins, high and away, 4-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, big swing and a miss. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour there by Logan Gilbert. 1 ball and 1 strike to Isaac Collins. 1-1 pitch. In there for a strike looking. Beautiful pitch there on the corner from Logan Gilbert. And again, this is the good version of Logan, a.k.a. Walter. You can always tell, with our pitchers, if they're going to have a good outing, or if it's going to be one of those days. And it definitely looks pretty good. Not to say that he can't have a meltdown at some point in this game. I mean, pitchers do, or the other team ends up getting hot, at an appropriate time. But, hopefully Logan gives up, 3 runs at the max, but I'm hoping 2 or less. And then the magic number for our team for offense, it is every game, 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits. And if we hit that, we should have a good chance to compete and get the job done. 2-2 pitch. Check swing, low and at the knees. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Isaac Collins. Hypercolor, I do. Three-two pitch. Popped up and out of play. And, with the hypercolor, with the, shirts that change color with the cold or hot water. And then even Hot Wheels, got into that where, you could end up putting the hot and cold and the cars would change colors. I mean, there was all kinds of things going on, in the 80s and 90s that, you're starting to see some of those trends come back. 3-2 pitch. Popped up and out of play. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Gilbert to Collins. Michelle in the building. How are you? Bottom of the second inning, 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Royals. Logan Gilbert looking good, so far. Got a few Ks, hasn't walked anybody, and hopefully that trend will continue, and we need the offense to step up for him and every Mariner pitcher moving forward. 3-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. No. He takes strike three looking. Is he challenging? He takes the strike three looking. If he challenges, you're not going to win. And he does challenge, and he loses the challenge. Call confirmed. And Logan Gilbert with another punch out. Let's go. 4 Ks for Logan Gilbert, 4 from Cameron. I like what I'm seeing here early. Both pitchers have a one-hitter. And again, for our 5 now, which normally would be Luis Castillo, but now it's going to be Logan Gilbert. It's kind of crazy to say that Logan Gilbert is our worst starter. He's our 5, considering he was an all-star just a few years ago. But that shows you how deep we are. Castillo's garbage, put him in the pen. Gilbert is still a good pitcher, right? Bryce Miller looks good after the injury. Emerson Hancock has been the big surprise. Wu and Kirby are dominating like they, normally do. So there's no really surprise there. We expect those guys to be great. It's just that maybe Hancock and Gilbert flip-flopped. We assume Hancock would be okay and Gilbert would be up there, with the Wu and with Kirby. But, again, every year is a new challenge, and, hopefully they'll be able to continue getting better as the season goes on. End of the second inning, 0-0, Mariners and Royals. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up for the Mariners in the 9-hole, third baseman Colt Emerson. Batting second, 0 for 1 at shortstop, J.P. Crawford, who went to the team and went to Dan Wilson and said that I will move permanently to third base and platoon if needed. If you want Colt at shortstop, I understand. And again, that takes a lot of maturity from a leader. And not only that, he said he wants to be on this team if he is, wanted, after this year. He wants to try to win a World Series with Seattle. So we'll see what they decide to do with JP, playing shortstop. If they give him a chance to see if he can handle third base while Donnie is still out, we'll wait and see. Not really sure. Obviously offense, it's not going to have an issue. It's really, can you defend at third base? And we'll have to wait and find out what he looks like, because if you struggle at short, your main position, they may be a little reluctant to put you at third, but you can always give them a try. And then batting third will be Julio Rodriguez. First pitch is a ball to Colt Emerson, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and no strikes from Cameron to Colt Emerson. Curveball and four-seam fastball, high and away, missing the plate by a mile on both. 2-0 pitch. Fouls that one off towards first base. Out of play. Four-seam fastball, 92 miles an hour there by Noah Cameron. 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. Top of the third inning with a pitcher's duel with Gilbert and Cameron going at each other, both with only 1 hit given up apiece. Two-one pitch. Little slow dribbler towards first base and foul. Two-two pitch. Little dribbler towards first base. Should be a routine play. Throw to first just in time, and that is 1 away. We do have Victor Robles back, so that gives us 1 bat since we sent Connor Joe to AAA. Now we just got to figure out how to, get rid of Ref Snyder and get a better player for him, and we'll see how that goes. Just got to weed out some of the weak links. Next up is J.P. Crawford. Come on, J.P. First pitch to J.P. Crawford. In there for a strike, low and away. Kind of looked outside. JP is not challenging, though. 91 mile an hour four-seam fastball outside, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch from Cameron to Crawford, low and away into the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike to JP Crawford. And they do have Salvador Perez catching today, not DHing. But before this series is over, we assume that Salvador will be DHing at least 1 game out of the 3. 1-1 pitch, fouled off, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford. Yeah, I don't think it'll be necessarily on Cal and Colt. Brandon Donovan is going to be more of a key than Colt Emerson. We don't really expect too much out of Cole or Colt. They're young. You got to give them some time. But for a guy like Donnie, if he can stay healthy, he already has proven that, he can bat, 300 to 350. And we play better when Donnie's a leadoff hitter. It sets the tone. So if Donnie and Cal can stay healthy, that'll definitely give us a big lift that we're, definitely needing. And we have needed all year. 1-2 pitch. JP pops up and out of play. And just think, games where Cal goes 2 for 4 and homers and, you end up having like a 3 for 5 day out of Donnie. Sometimes that might be enough just with those 2 guys to win a game, considering all the other players that we got. And, we got Victor Robles back, which is great. And again, we just need to figure out if Dan will listen with the platooning and stop that. And, we can have Luke Rayleigh and Canzone playing every day. Then we can actually have a decent lineup. JP with a little slow dribbler. Throw to first. And that is 2 away. I mean, it seems like with Robles back and Canzone and Rayleigh, you're always going to have one odd man out, but again, we would rather see those 3 guys play than Refsnyder, and Joe's in AAA now, so we don't got to worry about him. But honestly, Joe would probably be the better, player to keep than Refsnyder, but that's Dan. First pitch into Julio Rodriguez is a ball, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, hard hit ball. Dribbles past the third baseman, goes all the way to left field, and Julio having a good day today, starting it off with a double and now a single. Nice job, J-Rod. Next up is Randy Arosarena. First pitch to Randy, fouls that one out of play. 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. With a runner at first, Julio with the single with 2 outs, top of the 3rd inning, 0-0 here early. One pitch. Randy pops it up and out of play in right field. One ball and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 2 outs. 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Royals. Throw to first, and Julio is safe. And considering, Dan, has already run this platoon, trial, and it hasn't worked, why not just play your best players, for a few weeks, every day and see how it goes. And if we end up starting to go on some, big win streak, then there's your answer, that you should have probably done this at the beginning of the year. No disrespect, to the guys that are on the bottom end of the team, but, having Luke Rayleigh and Dominic Canzone playing every day should have already started, at, game number 1. And, and even if they end up striking out against left-handed pitching, who cares? It gives us the best chance to win. And you never know, they might end up getting a lucky hit, off a lefty, and again, if you have other lefties that are safe, like JP Crawford, it doesn't make any sense, when you can have other guys that could be, just as good or better, like Luke Rayleigh. And I get it. Sometimes it's about how many positions you can play as time is called. There by Randy, and what kind of depth do we have at certain positions. And obviously we can platoon, at first base, third base, and in right field. Those are the, spots that you can. And obviously with the catching position, we have to, because of the Cal Raleigh injury with Pareda and Garver. But, It would be nicer to be able to kind of have a certain set lineup where we don't have to worry, about some amazing lineup on Friday. And then we look at Saturday's, lineup card and cringe, looking at 4 or 5 guys that can't fucking hit. And, they're praying that it's going to work out. 2-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss there by Randy. Did he get a tip of it? No, he did not. And that is out number 3. Julio is stranded. And let's go to the bottom of the 3rd inning with a 0-0 tie. And I think Mariner fans, including myself, if you decide to go with Victor Robles instead of Luke Raley or vice versa, we're okay with that, but it's, with the Connor Joes and the Rob Refsnyders, and anyone else, Leo Rivas, it gets difficult, especially when we're already struggling. We need to have as many quality bats in the lineup, and we'll see how that transition goes the rest of the year. Let's go to the bottom of the 3rd inning, 0-0 Mariners and Royals. Next up, in the 8-hole, second baseman Michael Massey. Batting second in the 9-hole, center fielder Kyle Isbell. And back at the top of the order, leadoff hitter 0 for 1 with a K, third baseman Michael Garcia. And on the mound for the Mariners, wheeling and dealing, looking good so far, Logan Gilbert. 20 subs away from 24,100. Shout out to all the people watching in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond. We're at 20 on the Dono train, 80 to go because of Chris. Appreciate you. You're the MVP so far, getting us started early. We appreciate that. And we're at 54 likes. 46 to 100. First pitch into Massey from Gilbert is in there for a strike, 0-1 count. Four-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour by Gilbert, who's looked impressive in these first 3 innings. Has a 1-hitter at the moment. And on top of that, he's got 4 Ks. We'll take that. 0-1 pitch, fouled off, out of play. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour there by Walter, a.k.a. Logan Gilbert. No balls and 2 strikes to Michael Massey. 0-2 pitch, popped up into left field, fading out of play. Four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour there by Logan Gilbert. Beautiful weather there in Kansas City here today. Royals wearing their pink and blue and white City Connects. Definitely a very unique look, especially with the hard hats, with the pink on the top, with the blue underneath. Definitely going for those, 90 vibes with all of those colors. 0-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss, and Logan fooled him. Got one to go low and into the dirt, and Massey chased. And another punch out there for Logan. That's number 5, baby. Let's go. Go. Weather in Oregon and Washington, it looks like it's pretty similar, around 80 in a lot of places. So, definitely really good weather here in Oregon and Washington for the most part. First pitch to Kyle Isbell. Fouls that one off. Out of play. Four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour. There by Logan Gilbert. And again, his last start, we didn't get a win for him, but he did get 9 Ks, and he's definitely trending in that, direction here. He might end up getting, 10 today, which would be great, for his confidence, but we need to get some, hits and RBIs and some home runs. Again, we have had an issue with hitting lately within the last couple weeks. I mean, really all year, but again, you know what I mean. 1-1 pitch, low and at the knees. But we've come a long ways, since the worst team hitting numbers in baseball. We were batting 188 as a team that was dead last when we played the Astros at home for the very first time at the beginning of the year. And then when we ended up sweeping them, getting them the mop, 4 wins in a row, that's really what catapulted the hitting. But again, we still have a lot of injuries, to key guys to, prevent us from taking those numbers to another level. But, we definitely have massively improved from the beginning of the year to where we're at now. But we have been in a little bit of a mini slump hitting wise. We got to still keep working at it. Pitch is high and away. 3 balls and 1 strike to Kyle Isbell. 3-1 pitch from Gilbert. Low and away. Count now. Ends up being a ball 4. So that's going to be Logan's first walk and hopefully his only walk this appearance. Isbell the first. One out and 1 on. Next up, third baseman, 0 for 1 with a K, Michael Garcia. First pitch to Garcia, little dribbler towards third and foul. But again, once we, can get Cal back and him hitting at, a normal rate, getting Donnie back and having him, hit and defend, now with Robles back and Rayleigh and Canzone, we could actually have a really solid lineup, at least when we go against righties. It just depends on Dan if he wants to transition that with lefties as well and just start weeding out some of these poor right-handed bats, just because you think we need a righty, but it only works, lefty on righty if the righty actually can hit. Otherwise you have a better chance just having another lefty that is a good hitter, go in there and give it a try. Pitch fouled off there by Garcia, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch from Gilbert. Paints the corner beautifully, low and away. Garcia can't believe it. No balls and 2 strikes from Gilbert to Garcia. And this is one of the better, outings for Logan Gilbert. And again, he started off very poorly, getting rocked in his first 2 starts. Obviously, as we remember in that Guardian game to start off the year. But since then, he's been much better. Even though here and there he may have a meltdown, in an occasional start, but again, everything that he's done, since the first 2 starts has been quite a bit better. And, now we just need to be able to help him out, with run support, especially if he's able to get 9, 10, 11 Ks. We can't keep dropping games when our pitchers are, being that dominant. We need to win for our pitchers. 1-2 pitch, low and away. Garcia doesn't bite on that splitter. 81 miles an hour, low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. Bottom of the 3rd inning. 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Royals. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Two pitch to Garcia. Popped up. Should be a routine play here for Julio or Robles. Julio calls him off and makes the catch, and that is 2 away. Nice job there by Julio in the no-fly zone. Good communication with Victor Robles. 2 up and 2 down. Next up, one of the better shortstops in the game, Bobby Witt Jr. Batting .298, 7 home runs, 23 ribbies. First pitch to Witt. In there for a strike looking, 0-1 count. Beautiful slider there by Logan Gilbert. Let him know all day. .0-1 pitch. And Witt pops it up in the right field, fading foul. Out of play. Another nice slider there by Gilbert. Definitely in firm control so far, which is great. So far, Gilbert with a 1-hitter, and he's got 5 Ks. Great start here for Gilbert, considering he's our worst pitcher as a starter now since Castillo has moved to the pen. 0-2 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Gilbert to Witt. I mean, imagine if any other team, heard that, that Logan Gilbert is our worst pitcher out of 5. I mean, that's a good problem to have. And we know that instead of being 5, at some point, Gilbert may move up all the way to 3, before the year is up. I don't think he'll be better than, more than likely Kirby and Wu, but he could end up passing Miller and Hancock. It's possible. It's all about consistency. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Bobby Witt Jr. and another punch out from Logan Gilbert. The one hitter continues, and now he's at 6 Ks, even more than Noah Cameron. I love it. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Fantastic job. Logan is keeping us in the game. End of the 3rd inning, 0-0, Mariners and Royals. Now let's see who's up next here for the Mariners, and let's see if we can get on the board already. Again, left-handed pitching is not our strong suit, but again, when you end up having left-handed pitching and a shitty-ass hitter, even though once in a blue moon he'll do something like this and get a home run, hopefully Rob can step up here today. Leading off in the 4-hole, DHing Rob Refsnyder. Another thing that Dan doesn't realize, Rob should never lead off, and why is he in the 4-hole? If you're going to play Refsnyder, he needs to be batting 6th, 7th, or 8th, not fucking 4th or 1st. Come on, Dan. Batting 2nd, 0 for 1 with a K, first baseman Patrick Wisdom. And batting 3rd in the 6th hole, 0 for 1, second baseman Cole Young. And you don't have to have JP Crawford lead off all the time. You can have Cole Young lead off when Donnie is injured. I guess the pecking order goes Donnie, JP, and then Cole. But, Cole, I think, has proven he can hit anywhere, 1 through 9. It just depends on where you want it. End of the 3rd inning, 0-0, Mariners and Royals. 20 subs away from 24,100. We gained a sub since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. 19 subs to go to 24,100. We're at 20 on the Dono train because of Chris. He's our MVP so far. 80 to go. And let's see where we're at on the likes with about 155 plus in the room. All right, looks like we're at 64. We're making some ground. $64 likes, 36 to 100. And again, shout out to all the females in the room, as well as all the people watching in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, and beyond. Appreciate you very, very much. First pitch into Rob Refsnyder, fouls it off, down the middle, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, takes a strike, high and inside, change up 75 miles an hour there by Noah Cameron. No balls and 2 strikes to Rob Refsnyder. 0-2 pitch, dribbled towards third base and foul. Noah Cameron, 2-3 record with an ERA of 5.40. So even though he is a lefty, we should have some wiggle room, you would assume, against him. But again, when you have guys like Rob Refsnyder hitting, you don't really have a whole lot of faith. 0-2 pitch. As it goes into the dirt, he makes a nasty wild swing, throw to first, and that is 1 away. I mean, if we're going to get fucking shitty at-bats like that, why are you even, like I said, you can't hit. He's the last person that should fucking DH. Literally, like the last person. Anyone would be better. We don't need to have wasted at-bats, let alone 4 or 5 of them in a game. Hopefully Rob will get, swapped out for a lefty once they switch pitchers. Next up is Patrick Wisdom. First pitch from Cameron to Wisdom. Takes a strike, looking low and at the knees. 0-1 count. Cameron on the mound. Wisdom in the box. 0-1 pitch. Hard hit ball into left field, fading foul. Cameron on the mound. Patrick Wisdom in the box. And again, normally plays third, filling in for Donnie. But again, Josh Naylor with the day off, so they have him playing first today. Oh-2 pitch. Ends up being a ball there to Wisdom, low and away, 77 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Patrick Wisdom. 1-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and that is 2 away. Easy to get punch outs and get your K numbers up when you go against Refsnyder and Wisdom. Next up is Cole Young, and then an update on the injury report. We got Spire due back around May 22nd, like Teddy McGraw. Carlos Vargas, May 23rd. Miles Mastroboni, May 24th. And Donovan is due back around June 5th. And that's at least what they say. But those could change at any given day. First pitch in there to Cole Young for strike, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Cole Clutch Young. One pitch, hard hit ball into deep right field, and staying in front of the warning track is caught, and that is out number 3. 3 up and 3 down, and let's go to the bottom of the 4th inning and see who's up next here for the Royals. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up for the Royals, 1 for 1 in the 6th hole, right fielder Jack Caglione, who just made that last out on Cole Young. Batting second. Oh, excuse me. I thought it was Caglione, but we're at Pasquantino. I got a little ahead of myself. So leading off, 1 for 1 in the 3 hole, first baseman Vinny Pasquantino. Batting second, 0 for 1, catching Salvador Perez. And then batting third, 0 for 1 with a K, DHing Carter Jensen. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 19 subs away from 24,100. Let's get it, baby. Gained another sub. Thank you so much. Now we're 18 away. 18 subs away from 24,100. Going to the bottom of the 4th inning, knotted up at 0 still. All right, we're at 69 likes, 31 to 100. And we're at 20 on the Dono train, 80 to go. Shout out to Chris getting us started. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Sweeney, Perez, and George Brett. That's good company there. First pitch from Gilbert to Pasquantino. Low and at the knees. Curveball, 79 miles an hour, missing, 1-0 count. You know, and again, Gilbert's confidence and his aura and his vibe is so much better than it was at the beginning of the year. It's like he was almost like he was doubting himself and his skill set. And again, you know, with Cal being injured, it's not ideal, you know, having Garver and Pareda, you know, calling the games because they're not going to be as good as Cal. But, you know, honestly, Pareda and Garver have done a pretty good job, you know, with all things considered, you know, throwing guys out and, you know, handling that responsibility of Cal being injured and playing a hell of a lot more than either one anticipated. 2-0 pitch, high and away, paints that corner beautifully, four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour from Logan Gilbert. 2 balls and 1 strike to Vinny Pasquantino. Two-one pitch. And a hard hit ball over his head. JP is there. Sidearm throw off the bounce and just in time. I was about to say, is that going to be strong enough? Come on, JP. But he makes the throw. Good job there by Crawford. And that is 1 away. Sean in the building. What's good? And again, you know, maybe the pitchers, you know, need to be instructed to let the balls go over their head and not put their gloves up, because we've had a couple instances where our pitchers have tried to make the play and it ended up turning into a single because, you know, the second baseman or shortstop after the deflection off the pitcher's glove usually ends up not being good enough. Line drive to Julio there by Salvador Perez and caught. And Julio is staying busy out there in center field in the no-fly zone. And that is 2 up and 2 down. Great job here with the defense for Logan Gilbert. Next up is Carter Jensen. Come on, Logan. Definitely has a good chance to tie his 9K number that he got on his last start, or possibly beat it. 9 is cool, but 10, double digits, that's where it's at. You want to be shooting for 10 to 15 if you can get there. First pitch, big swing and a miss by Jensen, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, high and away. Cutter, 93 miles an hour missing, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Gilbert to Carter Jensen. Bottom of the 4th inning, 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Royals. We have a pitcher's duel. Logan's got a 1-hitter, and Cameron's got a 2-hitter so far. 1-1 pitch. Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did. Jensen goes around with that curveball, fooling Carter Jensen. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Bottom of the 4th inning, 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Royals. 1-2 pitch. Just got a little foul tip into the glove and in front of Garver. Count still remains 1 ball and 2 strikes from Gilbert to Jensen. And again, if we can find a way to win today, we got George Kirby tomorrow, and then we have Brian Wu on Sunday. So again, winning this first game could be the start of winning 2 out of 3, or maybe even a sweep. And we definitely could use a sweep, to get us to 500 for sure. 24-27, 10-12 record on the road. 1-2 pitch. Popped up a mile. And there we go. Patrick Wisdom comes up and makes the play. And that is 3 up and 3 down. I'm impressed with the defense. I'm impressed with Logan Gilbert. But I'm not impressed, obviously, with the hitting so far. But we still have time. All right, let's go to the top of the 5th inning and see who's up next here for Seattle. Next up in the 7-hole, 0 for 1 with a K, Mitch Garver. Batting second, 0 for 1 with a K. Welcome back to the team in his first game in 2026, right fielder Victor Robles. Good vibes only, baby. And batting third, 0 for 1, third baseman Colt Emerson. Let's go, Colt. Subs away from 24,100. We're at 20 on the Dono train, 80 to go. And we're getting closer to that 100 like number here. We're at the halfway point. Where are we at now? We are at 72. We're almost there. All right, we're at 72 likes, 28 more to get to 100. Tridents up. Let's go, M's. Well, when we go against left-handed pitching, we go with our righty lineup. When we go against right-handed pitching, that's when we end up having our strongest lineup with Luke Raley and Dominic Canzone in it. And obviously, if you don't see Luke or Dom in the lineup, it's not as good. But, the main reason is, we're doing splits because of lefty and righty pitching. And I wish that Dan would get rid of that and just go with the best players, instead of, trying to platoon. Because a lot of times it just doesn't work, especially if those guys, that are alternating can't hit. And first pitch to Garver, and Mitch says, hey, I'm better than Connor Joe and Rob Refsnyder. I might not be the best hitter, but I can get a hit here and there. And Mitch Garver with a beautiful single off the first pitch right down the middle by Cameron, and he crushes it. Nice job there by Mitch. Nice job, Mitch. Next up is Victor Robles. I wouldn't mind Victor dropping a butt down, but, we know Mitch isn't the fastest, but again, Robles can do a number of things, drop down a bunt, he can end up making some athletic, dives in right field and making some big plays out there in the no-fly zone. And every once in a while, he'll be able to get a home run or a big single or double. And hopefully he'll be able to at least get a hit in his first game in 2026. 1-0 pitch. Takes a strike right down the middle. Curveball, 78 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike to Victor Robles. But one thing about Victor I really like is his attitude. He always is kind of happy-go-lucky, like Eugenio Suarez, who is now on the Reds. I feel like those two guys, with Julio, really gave us, good vibes. And a little dribbler up the middle, throw to first, and unfortunately, Victor hits into a double play. Down goes Garver at second. And let's see, are they going to challenge the out at first with Victor? No, they're not. And that is 2 away. Unfortunate that Victor couldn't get Garver over. But again, stuff happens. It is baseball. Next up in the 9-hole, third baseman, 0 for 1, Colt Emerson. First pitch, high and inside to Emerson, 1-0 count. Let's go, Colt. You can do it defensively, and we know you can do it offensively. 0-0 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and no strikes from Noah Cameron to Colt Emerson. 2-0 pitch, low and away. Cutter, 90 miles an hour, missing by a few feet. 3 balls, no strikes, with nobody on and 2 outs. Top of the 5th inning, 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Royals. 3-0 pitch, hits the corner for a strike. 4-seam fastball, 90 miles an hour there by Noah Cameron. 3 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and 2 outs. Top of the 5th inning, we're knotted up at 0 still. 3-1 pitch, hard hit ball into right field. There we go. Nice job there by our boy Colt Emerson. And let's see if we can start a 2-out rally. Way to bring some electricity in the lineup. It's been far and few between. Nice job there by Colt. Great follow-through swing. Really is going to become a real big fan favorite, just like his partner in crime, Cole Young. Next up, 0 for 2. Leadoff hitter, J.P. Crawford. Come on, J.P. First pitch, big swing and a miss there by J.P. with a cutter, 88 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Oh-1 pitch, takes a strike looking down the middle with the slider, 84 miles an hour. No balls and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford. Top of the 5th inning, Colt Emerson at first with 2 outs. And again, we just had a hard time stringing, back-to-back hits together. We do have 4 to their 1. So obviously we're doing better on that end, but still, we're very home run dependent, as everyone knows. And an 0-2 pitch popped up into center field, and that is caught by Isbell, and that is out number 3. We'll leave another runner stranded, and let's go to the bottom of the 5th and see who's up next here for the Royals. And again, we just have to possibly wait for Cameron and Gilbert to exit, and then whoever's bullpen is better, more than likely will win the game. Next up, in the 6th hole, 0 for 1, right fielder Jack Caglione. Batting second, 0 for 1 with a K, left fielder Isaac Collins. And these are the unis that they're wearing in Kansas City today, as you can see with the pink and the blue with the hard hat, as well as the combination of those colors on the jersey. And batting third, 0 for 1 with a K, second baseman Michael Massey. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. And again, sometimes when you have a pitcher's duel, you just got to wait for those guys to do their thing. And, and then it ends up being like a 3 or 4 inning sprint. And you got to hope that you can get, that victory at the end. Gained 2 more subs since the last commercial break. Thank you so much. 16 subs to go to 24,100. We're at 20 on the dono train because of Chris. 80 to go. And thank you to all the people that donated when Paisley went to the vet. for ear infection. The bill was over $200, and we had a lot of people contribute, donating for a few days, and I really appreciate it. And it looks like we are at 80 likes, 20 more to get to 100. Two vet bills for $650 in a matter of a month is not ideal, but she is the most important thing in my life. So besides this channel, and I want to make sure that she is happy and healthy. Logan Gilbert, 4 innings pitch, 1 hit, no earned runs, 1 walk, 6 Ks, 66 pitches, 42 strikes with a 4.15 ERA. Noah Cameron, 5 innings pitch, 4 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 7 Ks, 78 pitches, 50 strikes with a 4.82. So, we just have to find a way for these guys to, at some point slow down. But, we don't want Gilbert slowing down. We want him to continue to dominate. First pitch is low and at the knees, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, popped up a mile. Mitch Garver is there, and that is 1 away. There we go. Great defense there by Garver. And down goes Jack Caglione as he slams his bat into the grass in frustration. Nothing worse than popping up in foul territory to the catcher on the first or second pitch. I understand. I feel you. Mariner players have done that quite a bit this year as well. And next up, in the 7-hole, left fielder, 0 for 1 with a K, Isaac Collins. On deck is Michael Massey. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. First pitch from Gilbert to Collins, takes a strike looking low and away. 4-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour, 0-1 count. And again, if we can find a way to win this game, even if it ends up being 1-0 or 2-1, Kirby and Wu on the mound on Saturday and Sunday. Little dribbler, flip to Gilbert, toe tap on the bag. Great defense there by Cole Young and company. It is beautiful, and that is 2 away. Nice job there by Wisdom, Young, and Gilbert. I love the defense today. Two up and 2 down. Next up is Michael Massey. Well, not only is Logan doing his job, but he's also doing above and beyond. You got to think he's our worst starter out of the 5 right now, right? And for him to be, at a 1-hitter, through 5 innings, let's be honest. We saw how he looked at the beginning of the year, and he looked closer to Castillo than this. Popped up into right field. Victor Robles is there, and that is 3 up and 3 down. So, anytime we can get any of our pitchers, to play like this, you have to be ecstatic, that you end up giving up, 3 hits or less. At this point, you're at 1 hit. You have a 1-hitter, right? And again, for a guy that was giving up, 4 to 8 runs early on in the season, like Castillo, he still, is lacking run support. He did get 9 Ks on his last start, but we didn't get the win for him because we didn't have enough offense. And, we can't have that happen here. And again, he's pacing for that same, number. He's pretty close. He's at 6 Ks, 3 more to get to that 9, 4 to get to 10. And his pitch count is still relatively low. He's at 71. So essentially we could have him pitch the 6th and the 7th. And then that would be 1 less guy in the bullpen to ruin the game for us and shit the bed. So, we want to make sure our pitchers are wheeling and dealing, and we want to make sure we don't take them out too early and then throw in a guy like Bizzardo or whoever, and then they end up giving up a home run and then we lose. We don't want that. So let's go to the top of the 6th inning and see if we can get on the board already. Next up for the Mariners, having a great game so far. 2 for 2, a double and a single. Center fielder Julio Rodriguez. Batting second, 0 for 1 with a base on ball and a K. Left fielder Randy Arozarena, our most consistent hitter from the beginning of the year till now. And then batting third, 0 for 2 with 2 Ks, DHing Rob Refsnyder. And hopefully we can end up getting Cameron the hell out of there so that way we can replace Rob for Luke Raley. Should have done that at the very beginning of the game, Dan Wilson. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 50th anniversary, 40 plus years on the radio. And again, he is retiring after this season. So every game on the streams throughout the season are going to be dedicated to Rick Riz. Love ya. An icon and a legend. We love you, Rick. 16 subs away from 24,100. Gained another sub, 15 subs to go. First pitch is high and away, 1-0 count to Julio. 1-0 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike to Julio Rodriguez. There's a lot of pitchers that don't get run support for us. I mean, literally, it's every starter. Little dribbler towards third, strong throw by Garcia, and that is 1 away. But really, all of our pitchers lack run support. It's not like we average 5 runs a game. More times than not, we're getting only 1 to 3 runs, and then every 3rd to 4th game we explode, for 5 to 12. But as soon as we end up getting 5 to 12 runs, in a game, sometimes that next game after we get a 0, or like a 1. So hopefully we'll be able to buck that trend and, be able to score 5 runs or more in multiple games back to back to back. But we just, we're not there yet. But also no Cal, no Brendan Donovan, even though Cal was in a slump. But you have to assume at some point he'll heat up. And once we get those guys back, maybe that will be when, we'll be a little bit better. 1-0 pitch fouled off, out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike to Randy Arozarena. 1-1 pitch, low and away. Ball missing there by Noah Cameron. 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and 1 out. Top of the 6th inning. 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Royals. Three-one pitch. Big swing and a miss by Randy Arozarena. And honestly, if we actually had good run support, for our pitching staff this year, we would probably have a similar record to the Guardians, where we would be like 7 or 8 games above, 500. We now know that the Rays, the Yankees, and the Guardians are, wheeling and dealing. And again, I think that, maybe having like a 30-22 record, I think that's kind of where we would be at, something like that, if we actually got the proper run support that, we obviously, wish for and deserve. And Randy gets a pitch outside, and that ends up being a walk. Randy at first with 1 out. And now Ref Snyder going for a bunt, knowing that he can't hit, just at least trying to move Randy over. Not necessarily 1 point angry, 1 run. Got to get the baseball terminology. We're not playing basketball. Throw to first, and Randy is safe. And usually when Randy gets antsy, you already know he's going to go for stealing the bag. You just got to make sure that you get a good jump and you don't get fooled and get caught in between the base paths for an easy out. No problem, man. Forever and always. I'm always going to be here. I plan on doing this for the rest of my life. So somebody's got to hold it down, for the Mariner fan base. And again, I've been doing this for, 14 years. This is my 10th year on YouTube as that pitch is fouled off and out of play by Ref Snyder. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Cameron to Ref Snyder. But, again, we're going to go through peaks and valleys, ups and downs. And again, sometimes things are going to be, a little rough, but again, if I can watch, all the games beginning to end for 20 years with no hope of making the playoffs, again, you have to be mentally tough to be a fan of this team. It's not for the weak. And again, we've come a long ways since that 20-year drought. We definitely have been spending more money. We have been buyers at the deadline. We were one of the final 3 teams last year with the Blue Jays and the Dodgers. So you just have to be patient. That from 2022 to 2042, in a 20-year gap since we got Kirby, Cal, and Julio, we should be able to go to 1 or 2 World Series in that 20 years, and we may not win the first time that we go, but if we continue to keep building the team like we have since 2022, once we get Cade Anderson up and Ryan Sloan and a few others, there's going to be opportunities for us to finally get past whether it be the Blue Jays, not this year, last year, but the Yankees, the Rays, the Guardians, whoever's in our way, whether that be the Rangers or the Athletics in our division, or the Yankees and the Rays in the East, or somebody like the Guardians, and obviously the Central. So we'll find a way. We'll get there. I mean, really the only team that's consistent year in and year out is the Yankees. So, again, it's not like every other team is going to be great year in and year out. The Rays are good this year, but they're not usually this good. And the Guardians are usually a pretty good team as of late within the last few years, but that division is pretty competitive, normally with the Tigers and the Twins, as well as a few others. Three-two pitch to Ref Snyder, and that is strike three looking. Reflect with the 20. Appreciate you. Long time no see. How is the $20 holla there for Reflect? Now we're at 40. How's the remodel going on the roof and whatnot? Next up is Patrick Wisdom. Trident's up. Let's go M's. First pitch, big swing and a miss there by Wisdom. Change up, 81 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Great to see you, Reflect. I know you've been incredibly busy. Hopefully you've been able to watch a majority of the games, even with your busy schedule, even if it's not with us every day. And Wisdom pops it up. Should be a routine play, but nothing is routine lately for any team. And that is out number 3. Randy is stranded. But again, Mariners have 4 hits. Royals have 1. Logan Gilbert's got a 1-hitter going, which is great considering he's our, 5-hole pitcher now, since, we obviously know Castillo going to the pen. And hopefully they're not dumb, to go Castillo starting and then Miller coming in after. Hopefully they realize that Miller, is, so much better. And there's, and if you're going to pitch Castillo, only pitch him a maximum of 2 half innings. We obviously have seen if you go 3 or longer, that's when the meltdown happens. So if they can pitch him a half inning, which is preferred, and if he ends up getting like 3 strikeouts, then you can let him come out again, but no more than 2 half innings. And then if we are able to do that, we can end up, maximizing, Castillo's somewhat ability, to be able to help us win instead of being a liability. Bash with the 20. Appreciate you. Thank you so much, man. We go from 20 to 40 to now 60. 40 more to go on the Dono train. Thank you so much. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 6th inning and see who's up next here for the Royals. Next up for the Royals, 0 for 0 with a base on ball, center fielder Kyle Isbell. Batting second, 0 for 2 with a K, third baseman Michael Garcia. And batting third, 0 for 2 with 2 Ks, shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. Trident's up. Let's go M's. 15 subs away from 24,100. We're at 60 on the Dono train because of Chris Reflect, as well as Bash. Thank you so much. 40 to go. Shout out to all of our females watching all across the globe, as well as people watching in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and beyond. Love you and appreciate you. And we're at 92 likes, home stretch here, 8 more to get to 100. And we got 184 in the room. So if we can just get 8 people, we'll be there. First pitch from Gilbert to Isbell, fouls that one off, 0-1 count. But I'm really impressed with Logan in his last 2 starts, getting 9 Ks. And even though we didn't get the win for him, the offense didn't show up. And now he's wheeling and dealing again, but we need the offense to do their job. Popped up, and Garver is there. Emerson and Garver getting a little close there. Well, Garver wasn't paying attention. They're both looking up. So even though Colt calls it at third, but Garver's just looking up. He doesn't look behind him, so he can't see that Emerson called for it. But at least they didn't, collide into each other. We need to have good communication out there. got to be vocal. First pitch to Michael Garcia, takes a strike looking down the middle. Four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour by Gilbert, 0-1 count. And you can also tell with pitchers, with their body language, the aura and the vibe that they are showing you on screen, or if you're at the game itself, you can definitely feel a vibe if someone is confident in their abilities or if they're just trying to get through it, and they're going through the motions and they don't believe in what they're what they're doing out there. And I definitely have seen a shift in Logan Gilbert's, kind of aura and vibe within the last, 2 to 3 weeks, which is great. We want him to be an asset, not a liability. We want him to be closer to Hancock and Miller rather than closer to Castillo. And he's starting to show that in the last couple starts. And obviously we have, have Kirby and Wu at the very top. But it's looking like Miller surpassed Hancock. So it's kind of looking like Kirby, Wu, Miller, and then Hancock, and then Gilbert, and again, we just need to be able to be as consistent as possible. 1-2 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Michael Garcia. Power code in the building. What's good? 2-2 pitch, fouled off right in front of the plate. Count still remains 2 balls and 2 strikes to Michael Garcia. Well, we don't have to worry about Connor Joe anymore. So Joe ends up going to AAA for Victor Robles. But again, Victor really hasn't been the same player since his injury. But I like his vibes and his attitude. So hopefully, that good attitude will carry over into good play, in right field or DH, wherever they decide to put Victor, when he plays. If he only plays against left-handed pitching, so be it. But, I'm definitely looking forward to, having Victor back on the team, and hopefully he'll be able to get a hit before his day is done. 2-2 pitch, and Garcia pops it up behind the plate and out of play. 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Bottom of the 6th inning, 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Royals. Dank in the building. What's good? Yeah, but once we end up getting Cal Raleigh, back and Brendan Donovan, then hopefully that would mean a little bit less of Rob Refsnyder and whatnot. And again, it's just, you're better off, with Robles, over Rob, if you're going to end up going, not with Luke and not with Dom, you have certain guys that are not, platooning, like JP Crawford. We know JP's really patient, in the box, but he doesn't really have the greatest batting average, right? And it has been a liability at times with Julio defensively. Julio overrunning 4 or 5 balls for, some extra runs that have been scored by the opponents. And JP with some wild sidearm throws, from shortstop, and has talked to Dan and management saying that he'd be willing to platoon at third with Donovan if needed and wants to be on the team after this year. I'm not sure if the Mariners will want him back. It depends on the money and whatnot. But, he wants to try to win a World Series with Seattle, and we just need to get the best version of him. 2-2 pitch popped up, and that goes in front of Victor. Can't get there in time. And a bloop single into right field there by Michael Garcia. Yeah, I think anybody is, better, than Refsnyder, especially him DHing. Doesn't really make any sense. You want the guy to be able to hit, and, he's the worst hitter on the team. So, but again, for Dan, he's thinking, well, that's a right-handed bat. Yeah, it works if it's a right-handed bat that can hit, not just a right-handed bat that's just out there because he's right-handed, But that's Dan for you. But Scott would do the same thing, Scott Service, so. First pitch is low and away, 1-0 count. But it's kind of disrespectful to Luke Raley, based on, being number 1 in home runs and at one point being number 1 in ribbies, and being one of the top guys on the team. Like, why are we platooning him? He should be the everyday right fielder, and then if you want to DH Dom or Victor or Rob, fine, even though Dom should probably be the everyday DH as well, but, he wants to have some of these other bench guys play, and, I guess that's on him. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike, swinging low and at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike to Bobby Witt Jr. 1-1 pitch, low and at the knees again. Splitter missing, 78 miles an hour by Gilbert. 2 balls and 1 strike with a runner at first and 1 out. Bottom of the 6th inning, 0-0 here early between the Mariners and the Royals. Jack in the building. What's good? But for me, if I'm coaching this team or managing this team, I'm putting Luke in right field every day. I don't give a shit if it's a righty on the mound, a lefty on the mound, someone that's fucking blind on the mound, wearing glasses or goggles. It doesn't matter. And then at DH, I put Dom there, and again, I know Luke and Dom don't do as well against left-handed hitting, but again, I think as fans, we would be more accepting, even if those guys went 0 for 4 and had 4 strikeouts. We would rather have those guys in than seeing Rob or anybody else. I mean, that's just, the reality. And then if you're going to swap someone for Dom, maybe Victor Robles, if you want to go like that type of guy, or if it comes down to late in the game and Pareda is catching and you want Mitch Garver to get an at-bat or two, fine, at DH, but right field, should be solidified just like left field and center. Randy's in left, Julio's in center, and I know Victor used to be in right, but Luke Raley has earned the fact to play every day. And the simple fact that we're not, that's on Dan. And it shows, that he definitely is an average to below average manager. Like, how do you have a guy that's leading, in home runs and ribbies and is one of the best hitters on the team this year, and you're treating him like Ref Snyder or Joe like a scrub? You don't need to treat a player that's that good, as a guy that plays platoon, baseball. He needs to play every day. Shame on Dan. And Logan calls time. Count now is full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. And we know Dom isn't as good of a hitter as Luke game in and game out. And Dom is streaky, but again, I trust Dom in the box at DH more than any other player at DH, so. 3-2 pitch. Fly ball into left field. Randy is there, and that is 2 away. And Michael Garcia scampers back to first base. And now we got a mound visit here with Mitch Garver. Great outing here, for Logan Gilbert. 5.2 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, which is great, 6 Ks, 87 pitches, 57 strikes, finished strong. And assume that this will be the last inning for him. Yeah, but definitely need better right-handed hitters, for, platooning, if we're going to go that route, better than Joe and Ref Snyder. And we also need better guys in the pen, so that way we don't have to get into this situation where we have half of the fucking bullpen is from AAA. And we only have one guy that we can trust, Matt Brash, and he needs to be the new closer. Another thing that Dan won't do. Mooney just doesn't need to play, or if you're going to play him in the 8th. And swap him out for Brash in the 9th. If you're only going to have Brash pitch only 1 inning anyways, and you're never going to pitch him 2, make him our closer. And if you do that, we can probably win the AL West or get second. But if you keep Castillo there, high throw to Patrick Wisdom, and Garcia makes it to second, standing up. But again, if you move Brash to closer, that could save the season. But I don't think Dan is smart enough to do that. He's just going to continue to roll with guys that are bad. And at least he made the adjustment with Castillo finally with splitting and kind of putting him in the pen. But, that's long overdue. But if you move Mooney to the 8th or just, don't play him until he's right, obviously his grip on his slider isn't right and mentally he's not right. It seems like for every 1 game Mooney does something good, there's 5 or 6 bad outings afterwards, and, when you got an ERA of 6 as a closer or as a starter, Castillo, you shouldn't really be playing. But I get it, we are limited for certain bodies. We still got Gabe Spire on the, the injured list. All right, we got a runner at second, Michael Garcia. Now we got Vinny Pasquantino in the box. Finish strong, Logan. 1-0 pitch, low and at the knees. 2 balls and no strikes from Gilbert to Pasquantino, and we really haven't gotten into a jam all game. So that shows how good Logan has been. But again, we want to make sure that he doesn't give up anything here right before he exits. And sometimes you do get fatigued and a little tired and give up a big home run or RBI right before you go out. 2-0 pitch in there for a strike, high and away. Nice cutter, 92 miles an hour there by Gilbert. 2 balls and 1 strike to Vinny Pasquantino. 2-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Looks like he just got a piece of it at the last second there. Splitter, 81 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Vinny Pasquantino. Bottom of the 6th inning, runner at second with 2 outs. And this has really been the only time that, I don't even want to say they're threatening, because again, they did have a 1-hitter for the longest time, and now they have 2 hits. And if it wasn't for a wild throw by Gilbert to Wisdom, then that single obviously turned into that runner at second. 2-2 pitch, low and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Vinny Pasquantino. I mean, obviously pitch count is, for the long term. They don't want guys to burn out, but again, sometimes it is nice, to let a guy go, over 90. And we don't really see too many guys go over 100, and again, that's, they're trying to manage the team, not only for the game, but also the longevity of the season. So sometimes that's why you see these questionable moves. You can tell Dan is thinking about the long term, not, trying to win this game specifically. And it shows in his managing style. And that one gets bounced off the wall, and Victor Robles tries to attempt to make the catch, but can't. Count still remains 3 balls and 2 strikes to Vinny Pasquantino. And again, you can usually tell, the great managers, are not only managing for the season, but you can tell they're focused on that pitch, that out, that particular at bat. And then you get most of them, like Dan and Scott, that are looking long-term. They're not really focused on the game, specifically that particular at-bat or that particular out, even though they may make some minor adjustments, but usually it feels like when we're watching a lot of these games, a lot of the decisions are made that are, they're thinking long-term, not short. 3-2 pitch, low and away, and Pasquantino goes to first with a walk with Garcia at second. And he's at 94 pitches. You may need to pull him here. I think you pull him here. That was his last chance, and again, we don't want, Perez to go up there and hit a 3-run blast, because imagine if Salvador Perez hits a 3-run blast and Logan exits, what are the bullpen guys going to do? Probably give up more. So, and there's no guarantee the next guy goes in that's going to be good. And it looks like they're going to bring in Pizzardo, and I don't like that, but Pizzardo has given up a run 4 consecutive starts since Brash and Spire were injured, either by home run or RBI. And now we just have to pray that Pizzardo ends up being the good Pizzardo and ends up getting this last out, not giving up an RBI where we're down 1 or 2-0, or a home run and we're down 3-0. Because if he gives up a home run, we're fucked. I mean, unless the offense can get going against, whatever bullpen pitchers they bring in. But, obviously we're very home run dependent. And when we don't homer, we usually don't win, right? And when we don't have Donnie at first as a leadoff hitter, we usually don't win too many games either. So, we got to be able to dig deep and find a way. And it is Eduard Pizzardo coming in. But overall, Logan being our worst pitcher as a starter since Castillo now is in the pen, with Miller and Hancock being a little bit more trustworthy, and then Wu and Kirby being excellent. But again, last 2 starts have been excellent out of Logan Gilbert. But what happened? No run support, and again, that's our fucking issue. We need to be better. I mean, after at the beginning of the season, Logan was giving up 4 to 8 runs. Now he puts up a 0 on the Royals, and unfortunately we can't, help him out, offensively. All right, Pizzardo on the mound and Salvador Perez in the box. Very impressed. Logan is starting to get, closer to what we expect of him, as a pitcher, 5.2 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks, 94 pitches, 60 strikes, 4.04 ERA. So he's getting his ERA almost under 4 into the 3s, which is great. Might be 1 or 2 more starts before he gets there. Had 9 Ks season high his last start, but we didn't win. And he gets 6 today. But again, putting the game, definitely in reach to win. But again, it's really going to come down to the bullpens. Whose bullpen is going to pitch better is going to win this game. First pitch from Pizzardo. Check swing. Did he go? No, he did not. Sweeper on the corner. 1-0 count. One-0 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and no strikes from Bizzardo to Perez. And again, you can always tell how good our bullpen, our starters and our closer are going to be within the first 7 pitches. That will really tell the tale if they're on or if they are off. 2-0 pitch, pop behind the plate and foul. 2 balls and 1 strike from Bizzardo to Perez. And as long as Bizzardo doesn't give up another fucking run, he's supposed to be the top guy. When Brash and Spire were out, we just got Brash back, but he's given up a run, either a home run or an RBI, given up at least 1 run in his last 4 appearances. Not good. 2-1 pitch, hard hit ball towards third, and luckily that was foul. If not, that would have scored a run. More than likely. 2 balls and 2 strikes with runners at first and second and 2 outs. Please, for the love of the sport gods, Bizzardo, get this last out. I don't even care if he gets a strikeout. At this point, it's like, just get the pop-up or the ground out. I don't even need to start begging for Ks out of him and strikeouts. Just get the fucking out. 2-2 pitch to Perez, high and away. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour, missing by a few inches there. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with runners at first and second and 2 outs. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Yeah, Spire's not reliable either. We don't have anybody reliable. Out of 10 players that are in our bullpen and our closer, Mooney, the only guy that we can trust is Matt Brash. 1 guy out of like 10. That's not good. Every once in a while, some of the others will do their job, but as far as consistency, not so much. A little dribbler, toe tap on the bag at third. There we go. Nice job there by Colt Emerson, and great job by Bizzardo not fucking the game up. And again, we found a way to get out of that jam. End of the 6th inning, and we're still knotted up at 0. And I can finally say, for the first time in 5 outings, good job, Eduard Bizzardo, instead of holy hell, Eduard Bizzardo, you lost the game for us again and again and again and again. Nice job, Bizzardo. It feels good saying that instead of bad Bizzardo the last 4 times. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 2. Let's start off a rally and get it going right here. Second baseman, Cole Clutch Young. Batting second, 1 for 2 with a K, catcher Mitch Garver. Let's see if we can get another hit out of him. And batting third, 0 for 2 with a K, right fielder in his first game in 2026, Victor Robles. Drop the bunt down if needed. Don't be embarrassed. No ego. Just do it, And again, we could end up moving a runner over or maybe even getting on safe. All right, and it looks like Mears is coming in and Cameron is done. So now we don't got to worry about Noah Cameron anymore. So that's good. All right, Nick Mears is coming in, and he's a righty, so that means that we should be able to get Luke Raley and Dominic Canzone in the game at some point. All right, so final line for Cameron, 6-inning pitch, 4 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 8 Ks, 96 pitches, 60 strikes with a 4.72 ERA. And now they're going to bring in a righty, Nick Mears, the former Brewer. He doesn't have any good Royal photos yet, so this is the best that I could find. And hopefully we rough him up. And if we can rough up Nick Mears, we could end up getting on the board here. And now we have a 3-inning sprint. And again, we can find a way to win this game, 1-0, 2-1, but hopefully we can still find a way to get to, 3 runs before this one is over. I would love to get to 5, but that might be asking too much unless we end up getting a couple home runs. David says he'll go from Kelso into the bullpen. We might need you. First pitch, takes a strike, looking high and inside to Cole Young. 0-1 count. But that's kind of crazy to think that we only have one guy, Matt Brash, that's trustworthy. But Matt's one of the best in the game. You know, him and Mason Miller, before Brash got hurt, were the only two pitchers in baseball that didn't give up a run. And we know Miller on the Padres is the best closer in the game, you know, and he can do something that Brash can't do, you know, pitch 101 to 104 on the regular. But I love me some Matt Brash, and I'm happy he's back. We just need to be able to move him to closer to maximize his potential. 1-1 pitch to Young. Low and at the knees. 2 balls and 1 strike to Cole Clutch Young. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 2-1 pitch. Check swing. Did he go? No, he did not. 3 balls and 1 strike to Cole Clutch Young. But if you watched the World Baseball Classic, you know, Gabe was, you know, terrible. He would get an out, give up a home run. And he did that 2 or 3 times in the WBC. And then he came to spring training, did it again. You know, would get 1 out, like a strikeout, and then would give up a home run. And he did that multiple times in spring training. Then at the beginning of the year, same thing. He would get an out, pop up, ground out, strikeout, and then give up a home run. So, you know, he definitely needs to figure out, you know, some type of different pattern, you know, than getting 1 out and giving up a home run on almost every outing. 3-2 pitch, high and away. And great job there by Cole Young forcing the walk. Nice job by Cole with that patient at bat against Nick Mears. Next up is Mitch Garver, who's got a hit today, which a lot of the Mariners on the roster cannot say that they have. 1 for 2 with a K. Let's see if Mitch can get another single and do left field. Throw to first, and Young is safe. All right, we got Rayleigh on deck batting for Victor Robles. First pitch is high and away to Garver, 1-0 count. One-0 pitch, hard hit ball, deep left field, back. See ya! Wow. Mitch Garver. I mean, again, you know, a little foreshadowing with the photo here, right? I had a feeling, you know, that Garver might be able to do something special, even though he's not a home run hitter. And just like that, Mitch Garver, 406 feet with Cole Young on board. A little ESP for you. 2-0 Mariners. Let's go. Woo! And again, you know, Garver's one of those guys like Dominic Canzone, you know, streaky. Once he gets a single, you know, sometimes gives the confidence for, you know, that big home run or vice versa. You know, same thing with Dom. You know, there's going to be games where he goes 0 for 4, 0 for 5 with Garv. But if you can start your day off with a single and get one right down the middle and you're looking for it like Garv did right there, again, we just needed Noah Cameron to exit, right? Even though he got the first hit on Cameron, a lefty. Then Mears is trying to paint it down the middle because he thinks that Garver, you know, can't hit. And most of the time he might be right, but Garver got a hold of that one. And just like that, 2-0 Seattle, Trident's up. And I'm not saying that's going to be enough to win, but it definitely gives us a good cushion and a little bit of insurance here in the top of the 7th. Next up is Luke Rayleigh. And, you know, wouldn't it be amazing if we could actually get 4 or 5 at-bats every game for Luke instead of 2, you know, every other game? Let's go, Luke. Let's see if we can make the most of your 2 at-bats here late in the game. 1-0 pitch. Takes a strike, looking low and at the knees with a curveball, 82 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike to Luke Rayleigh. Attaboy, Mitch. Garver getting a hold of one. And again, you never know who's going to be a hero game in and game out for the Mariners. That's what makes it so exciting. Also frustrating, you know, when we can't hit either. 1-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away. And Rayleigh gets fooled by Nick Mears' changeup, 85 miles an hour. Try to get him to bite, on some garbage low and away, and Luke bit. 1-2 pitch from Mears, and Rayleigh pops it up into deep right field. Caglione is there, and that is 1 away. Down goes Luke Rayleigh, but not after our boy Mitch Garver. Trident's up, baby. 2-0 Mariners. Next up, our young phenom, third baseman and shortstop, Colt Emerson. He can play the defense, and we know that he can hit. Let's go, Colt. First pitch, takes a strike, looking high and away, four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour, 0-1 count. And really the only thing that's going to make me, 100% happy, besides Cal and Donnie coming back to the team, is getting Cade Anderson and Ryan Sloan on the roster. But specifically Cade, because he's a little bit farther ahead than Sloan. Even throwing Cade into the bullpen to help us, with some of those weak links that we have would be huge. Pitch fouled off right down the middle with a curveball by Nick Mears. No balls and 2 strikes to Colt Emerson. Oh-2 pitch, low and away. Change up 85 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Mears to Emerson. Yeah, and obviously Garver, even though he's not going to get a bunch of hits or home runs, we ended up having Andrew Kisner, but then let him go. And then obviously we traded Harry Ford away, but he's in AAA, so. And Emerson pops up a mile and caught at third by Michael Garcia, and that is 2 away. Next up, leadoff hitter, shortstop, J.P. Crawford, who's 0 for 3. Let's make it 1 for 4. And he's already talked to Dan Wilson in management, letting him know that if they want to put Colt at shortstop every day, that he'd be willing to platoon at third. Obviously that would, be a downgrade, for him personally, but at least, he knows, that Colt is the guy, and he's going to be the guy for many, many years. So. And JP pops up in third in foul territory. Garcia is there, and that is out number 3. The only thing that, I think Mariner fans and management is concerned with JP, the hitting isn't going to change, if you play shortstop or third, but what is your defense going to look like? Can you play defense? And again, your defense used to be really good, and it's been shaky this year at shortstop, and that's your position. So if you go to third base, that's even harder to defend. For something that you're not really familiar with. He did play a little bit of third, early in his career, but not a lot, and it definitely is quite a bit of a change, even though we've seen Colt Emerson do a pretty good job, as well as Brendan Donovan, going from shortstop to third and whatnot. So, all right, let's go to the bottom of the 7th inning. And thankfully, Mitch Garver, Garv Dog, comes up big with a big 2-run jack. Nice job, Mitch. Next up for the Royals in the bottom of the 7th, Carter Jensen. Batting second in the 6 hole, right fielder Jack Caglione. And batting third in the 7 hole, left fielder Isaac Collins. Trident's up. Let's go M's. 15 subs away from 24,100. We're at 60 on the Dono train, 40 to go. And we gained 2 more subs on the sub count. 13 now to go to 24,100. Let's see where we're at on the likes here as we go to the 7th inning stretch. We got 192 in the room. We should be at over 100 likes by now, and we are. We're at 104. All right, 96 more to get to 200. Shout out to our female viewership all over the globe, as well as everyone watching in the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and above and beyond. Appreciate you very, very much. Our female viewership and our global viewership has gone through the roof, and I appreciate that very, very much. All we needed is for the starter to go out, right? And Noah Cameron left. Nick Mears comes in. And obviously, when we go against right-handed pitching, we dominate. We struggle with left-handed pitching. But now we have Edward Bizzardo out again. I'm not sure if I agree with this. He did get us out of the jam, with getting out with one out, but hopefully it works out. 0-1 pitch. In there for a strike looking high and away. No balls and 2 strikes to Carter Jensen. 0-2 pitch, low and away with a sweeper missing. 84 miles an hour by Edward Bizzardo. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Bizzardo to Jensen. Bottom of the 7th inning, 2-0 Mariners because Mitch Garver decided that he wanted to be the dog and ended up giving us that big 2-run jack after Nick Mears came in for Noah Cameron. And that goes off of the netting and no play there for Colt Emerson, but good, good try there by Colt. And we got 2 other Mariners warming up in the pen, Cooper Criswell and Matt Brash. One-two pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Bizzardo to Jensen. I've been watching NASCAR, for a long, long time, and just so sad, with Kyle Busch. And then we lost Biffle, just a few weeks ago, and his family as well, with his wife and kids. 2 guys that were still, not in their primes, but they were still racing, and very sad. Especially for Kyle Busch's son that celebrated a birthday like 3 days ago. He just turned 11, and now he's not going to be able to see his dad anymore. So, when I hear stories like that, my heart breaks for them. First pitch from Bizzardo to Caglione, high and away, 1-0 count. One-0 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away from Caglione. Nice splitter there by Bizzardo. 1 ball and 1 strike to Jack Caglione. Bottom of the 7th inning, 2-0 Mariners with a 2-run jack by Mitch Garver. Thank you, baseball gods, with nobody on and 1 out. 1-1 pitch, high and inside. 2 balls and 1 strike to Jack Caglione. Two-one pitch, little dribbler towards first base and foul. Sweeper 83 miles an hour by Edward Bizzardo. 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Bottom of the 7th inning, 2-0 Seattle. Two-two pitch. And that is strike 3 looking. There we go. Nice job there by Edward Bizzardo. Down goes Jack Caglione. And that is 2 away. Next up, in the 7-hole, left fielder 0 for 2 with a K, Isaac Collins. So far, so good with Bizzardo. First pitch in there for a strike. Sinker 95 miles an hour right down the middle by Bizzardo, 0-1 count. Oh-one pitch, low and away. Sinker 91 miles an hour, missing the corner. 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody on and 2 outs. Bottom of the 7th inning, 2-0 Seattle. And again, if we win this game, we have a chance to win 2 out of 3 or sweep because we have Kirby on the mound tomorrow and Wu on Sunday. I like our chances. We need to give them a little bit of payback after what they did to us early in the year. And if you remember, they swept us, winning 7-6, 3-2 on my birthday in extras, and 4-1. So, getting a sweep back, against the Royals in Kansas City is definitely, something that we should be shooting for. 2-1 pitch, takes a strike looking high and inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Isaac Collins, but we got to take it, one pitch at a time, 1 inning at a time, 1 game at a time. But just the fact that we do have Kirby and Wu next, instead of, others, it definitely makes you feel pretty confident. It's just, can the bats match, what we're going to get on the mound? And what is the bullpen going to look like? 3-2 pitch from Bizzardo. Just got a piece. Foul tip as it rolls towards third. Sweeper 84 miles an hour. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Bottom of the 7th inning. 2-0 Seattle. Come on, baby. 3-2 pitch. And that one a little foul tip as it gets deflected off Garver, which has been a common theme for our players. Hitting baseballs, into themselves and injuring themselves, right? Or, having the other team, have a foul tip that ends up getting deflected into a body part, of our catcher, or going right into the mask or the chest of the home plate ump. So we already have plenty of injuries. We don't need any more. 3-2 pitch from Bizzardo. Big swing and a miss. And that's the good Bizzardo, baby. And after giving up 4 runs in his last 4 starts, either home runs or RBIs, ends up getting, 4 key big outs. Obviously 1 in the end of the 6th, and then obviously 3 here at the end in the 7th. And great job there by Edward Bizzardo. That's what we expect out of our top 2 guys in the pen with Matt Brash. Great job, Bizzardo. All right, let's see who's up next here for the Mariners and see if we can add on a little bit more insurance. Next up for the Mariners, 2 for 3, a double and a single, center fielder Julio Rodriguez. Batting second, 0 for 1 with 2 walks and a K, left fielder Randy Arozarena. And then batting third in the 4-hole, 0 for 3 with 3 Ks, Rob Refsnyder. And you would assume this will be Dominic Canzone. It just wouldn't make any sense if we have a righty on the mound to keep Refsnyder in, but we have seen Dan sometimes keep in Joe and Refsnyder for whatever reason. But, hopefully we'll get Canzone in there and he'll be able to give us a RBI or a home run or something special. The Italian Stallion. Trident's up. Let's go M's. 13 subs away from 24,100. 13 to go. We're at 60 on the Dono train, 40 to go to hit that goal. Shout out to Reflect, Bash, and Chris. And we're at 112 likes. $88 to $200. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Come on, Julio. Let's go, J-Rod. First pitch to Julio, right down the middle with a sinker, 95 miles an hour, 0-1 count. They got a new pitcher in there now as well, Lang. And Lang is a righty, Alex Lang. Used to be on the Detroit Tigers. One pitch. Julio, hard hit ball, deep right field. And Caglione is there, and that is 1 away. Alex Lang on the mound. And Randy Orosarena in the box. First pitch fouled off there by Randy. Out of play, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, low and away. Sinker, 96 miles an hour by Lang. 1 ball and 1 strike to Randy Orosarena. Pitch is low and away. Sinker, 94 miles an hour, missing by Lang. 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and 1 out. Top of the 8th inning, 2-0 Mariners with a 2-run jack by Mitch Garver, of all people. 2-1 pitch, hard hit ball towards third base, and foul. Two-two pitch, little dribbler up the middle. Run, Randy! Throw to first, and Randy actually hustling. His batting helmet flies off his head, but not in time. 2 away. But I like hustle, you know. You just never know when the throw might be a little high, a little low, or if the first baseman may drop it, and you could end up getting on. So Randy's getting a little bit better with the hustling to first base, which is, you know, great to see. Now, if we could just get that hustle in left field. And now we got Dominic Canzone coming in, the Italian stallion. Hitting for Rob Refsnyder. I mean, just imagine if we could actually get 4 at-bats for Dom and 4 for Rayleigh instead of only 2 for each, you know, when we go against left-handed pitching. Now they're having a mound visit. First pitch to Dom, big swing and a miss, 0-1 count. That's great, man. You know, again, you know, if you ever, you know, have that bond, you know, with the dog and you end up having a soul dog, you know, people don't realize, you know, what it's about unless it happens to you. You know, you'll see, you know, other people that you know, that, you know, kind of go head over heels over their dog, and, you know, people may not understand it, you know, but again, it's a very, very special thing. Dom with a little dribbler up the middle, throw to first, and that is out number 3. Canzone grounds out to the catcher, Salvador Perez, 3 up and 3 down. Let's go to the bottom of the 8th inning and see who's up next year for the Royals. But yeah, I mean, it's just not ideal, you know, having to pay like $650, you know, over a month, you know, because again, I had her annual visit that usually runs about $200 to $300, but she had some extra vaccines and things that she hasn't had since she was younger. So that ended up costing a few, you know, $100 more, which is not ideal, you know. And then I wasn't expecting her to get an ear infection. She's never had one. And, you know, I had to get, you know, the medication, and then had to get her ear flushed, and then had to get the anti-itch, you know, medicine as well. But she's doing much, much better. I still got another, you know, maybe 5 days of medicine that I'm probably going to give her, but her ear is no longer, you know, bloody red looking. It's, you know, getting back to that, you know, more natural brown, pinkish, you know, ear color that it's supposed to be. And, you know, she's doing much, much better. I actually got to take her to get her nails trimmed today. Normally I get her nails trimmed and her body washed in a self-wash that I do myself once a month, but they said don't get her ears with any water, so I have to wait, you know, a few weeks, you know, until the medication, you know, kind of ends up, you know, cycling through, and then she'll end up getting a nice bath from me in a couple weeks. So, all right, let's go to the bottom of the 8th. Matt Brash is coming in for Edward Bizzardo, and Bizzardo did a good job in the 6th and the 7th. Would like to see Brash be our closer instead of Mooney, but, you know. Next up, 0 for 2 with a K, second baseman Michael Massey. Batting second in the 9-hole, center fielder Kyle Isbell. And batting third baseman Michael Garcia. Yeah, and dogs, you know, usually are better than humans, you know, if we're actually being real, you know. And again, I've had her since she's, you know, been 6 weeks old, you know, and I've never felt, you know, this type of unconditional love in my life before. And, you know, it's an honor to be her dad, you know, and I want to give her the best, you know, possible life, you know, for every day that we're alive, you know, is like 7 days for a dog. So, you know, their lifespan is much shorter, you know, so you got to make sure you go above and beyond to give them the best life they possibly can have. 0-1 pitch, takes a strike, looking low and at the knees. Good start here for Brash. 0-2 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Michael Massey. Bottom of the 8th inning, 2-0 Mariners with a Mitch Garver blast in the top of the 7th to give us this 2-0 lead. One-two pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Michael Massey. 2-2 pitch. Fouled off, out of play. Slider 87 miles an hour by Brash. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Michael Massey. You know, but you know, I do, you know, 5 miles a day with Paisley, 3 walks a day, and you know, making sure she's getting that love and attention and getting outside, which is great. And you know, she gets plenty of games, you know, with tug of war and, you know, different, you know, playing catch and whatnot. So 2-2 pitch, and that ends up falling into the gap right in front of Julio. And Massey with a single here in the bottom of the 8th. Next up is Kyle Isbell. First pitch, takes a strike, looking high and away, 0-1 count. Brash on the mound, Kyle Isbell in the box. 0-1 pitch, hard hit ball towards right field and foul. Slider 88 miles an hour there by Brash. No balls and 2 strikes from Brash to Isbell. Let's go, Brash. Bottom of the 8th inning, 2-0 Seattle. Runner at first with no outs. Matt Brash, our most reliable pitcher in the bullpen. On the mound, Isbell, 9-hole hitter, center fielder in the box. 0-2 pitch, high and away. Sinker 97 miles an hour there by Brash. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Kyle Isbell. One-two pitch, high and inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Kyle Isbell. Bottom of the 8th, runner at first with no outs. 2-0 Mariners with a Mitch Garver 2-run jack in the top of the 7th. 2-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away. Vicious slider there by Brash, and that is 1 away. Nice job, Matt. Next up is Michael Garcia, 1 for 3 with a K. On deck, Bobby Witt Jr. Yeah, my dog does that as well. You know, sometimes on top or underneath the covers, or I have a little like blanket like on the outside of my bed on the floor that sometimes she'll curl up in, and then I also have like a blanket, and on the top end, so if she wants to sleep like behind me and whatnot. So there's multiple places, and sometimes if you have a medium or a large size dog, and sometimes it does get a little uncomfortable, when, they're moving around and you're moving around, but, that's a part of the love, that they want to be that close to you because that's the safest, spot in the whole entire house. So, sometimes you got to sacrifice a little bit of your own comfort, for the comfort of the dog, and so it's not about how much sleep we get. It's about how comfortable and how much love that they have, and again, sometimes that's the way that it goes. 1-1 pitch. Popped up and out of play. Sinker at 97 miles an hour. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. Bottom of the 8th inning, 2-0 Seattle. And for me, even if she, wakes me up 5-6 times, throughout the night and, has to move from under the covers, over the covers, wants to leave the bedroom and, walk around in the house, for whatever reason, like, sometimes you will lose a little bit of sleep, but, again, if a dog is, giving you the honor that they want to be next to you, it's not like, anybody gets that type of honor. It's a big deal, that they choose to sleep, next to you rather than anywhere else in the house. 2-2 pitch and a little line drive there into right. And this is a little frightening, seeing Brash give up a couple hits here, and hopefully we'll be able to get out of this mini jam. But normally Brash is lights out, and not often, does he give up a couple hits coming in. Nice hit there by Michael Garcia. Michael Massey to second. And now we got runners at first and second with 1 out, with Bobby Witt Jr. in the box. Yeah, Paisley literally has slept next to me her whole life. There hasn't really been a day that she hasn't, so, and I've had her since she was 6 weeks old, and she's going to be 5 in late summer. So incredible bond. I've never, and again, you may not be able to speak the same language, but the eyes, they don't lie. They tell a story. You have to pay attention, as well as the barks and the whimpers and the moans. You just have to pay attention, and if you are able to pick up that kind of silent, bond, even though there is a little bit of, language coming out, and again, if you have that bond, you figure it out. Others, in the house or other people, they may not get it, but if you have a soul dog, you'll definitely have that communication and that love. 1-0 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and no strikes to Bobby Witt Jr. 2-0 pitch, takes a strike looking right down the middle. Sinker at 97 miles an hour by Brash. 2 balls and 1 strike with runners at first and second and 1 out. Bottom of the 8th, 2-0 Seattle, with Witt in the box. 2-1 pitch, big swing and a miss. Beautiful slider, low and away by Matt Brash. 2 balls and 2 strikes with runners at first and second and 1 out. Come on, Brash. Two-two pitch, and Witt pops up. Julio is there, and that is 2 away. Great job by Julio Rodriguez there in the no-fly zone. Down goes Bobby Witt Jr. And next up in the 3-hole, first baseman 1 for 2 with a walk, Vinny Pasquantino. And Woodworth is coming out. Yeah, and I don't know. I just feel like, I ended up having a breakup too. And, I was... I knew that if I took care of the dog, Paisley, that she would be loved. She would get the walks, and, she would lose the weight because she was overweight. And if she would have ended up staying with my ex-girlfriend, life would have been terrible for her, because again, if you have someone that prioritizes drinking and partying and not the dog, then the dog is going to, obviously feel abandoned, is going to start ripping stuff up in the house. It's not going to get walked often, is going to get overfed. So I'm really, really blessed that, I was able to be the dog father. And, it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life, and with that being said, I have this amazing YouTube channel, and I've owned a PSA 9 Michael Jordan rookie card, that typically, is going to be going for a very high dollar amount, and, for something that is that coveted, and that usually ends up being number 3. Most people have never even seen a Michael Jordan rookie card, let alone a PSA 9 that I sacrificed on this channel, to be able to take the channel to the next level, to be able to get the computer, the iMac and the speakers and, the lighting and, to be able to take it to another level. Now, if I didn't have any dreams or goals, I would have hung on to that PSA 9 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan rookie, and down the road, I would have been able to sell it, for, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $1,000 or more, as obviously, with the card game and, where things are at, obviously if I didn't have dreams, that would have been a really cool thing to still have. But sometimes you got to sacrifice things for your dreams and goals. And, Paisley is definitely number 1. I love this YouTube channel. It's like 1A, 1B. And then having that Jordan rookie was, something crazy, and I ended up getting it in LeBron's rookie year in 2003. I won an eBay auction, and I got it for $1,000 when it was worth about $2,500 at the time. And now it's worth a hell of a lot more than that. 2-2 pitch, low and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Vinny Pasquantino. Yekno with a 20. We're at 80 on the Dono train. Shout out to Yekno. 3-2 pitch, hard hit ball into right field and foul. And I know a lot of people on social media or on, YouTube or Twitch, they lie about stuff like that, because Jordan rookies are fucking rare, let alone if you have a bent one, but to have a graded one. But again, I did win an eBay auction with like 50 other people that were bidding. So I didn't think I was going to win. And the economy was really down in 2003. So, you're never going to be able to get something like that so cheap. Line drive into right, and Luke Raley is there and saves the Mariners, and that is out number 3. Great job by Luke. But if you do go to my Instagram and you end up scrolling down, eventually you'll see a picture of it. And I had a Clyde Drexler PSA 9 1986 Fleer rookie card. But the difference is the Clyde Drexler rookie card in a PSA 9 is worth like $50 to $100. And then the Jordan, has been worth $2,500 to $5,000 to $10,000. And then obviously if you look at the numbers, through PSAcard.com or just go on eBay to look how much, PSA 9 Jordan rookies are going for, or PSA 10s, it's insane, but again, sometimes you have to make a tough decision, to be able to further your dreams. And, hopefully before I'm gone, I'll be able to, get a PSA 9 Jordan again back in my collection. But obviously it's not a priority at the moment. So end of the 8th inning, 2-0 Mariners. Great job there by Brash, even though he gave us a little bit of a scare with a few singles. But Luke Raley making that big catch in right field with some hustle. And I appreciate that. Nice job, Luke. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 3 with 2 Ks. Playing first base for Josh Naylor on a rest day, Patrick Wisdom. Batting second in the 6th hole, second baseman Cole Young. And batting third, so far the hero, besides Logan Gilbert, with a 2-run jack in the 7th, catcher Mitch Garver. Trident's up. Let's go M's. But, I was lucky enough to have that Jordan for, 13, 14 years. And, man, it was crazy. It's like when you have it in your hands, it felt like a gold bar or something of that nature. Like treasure for sure. All right, we're at 123 likes, 77 to 200. We're at 80 on the Dono train because of Chris, Reflect, Bash, and Yekno all donating 20 each. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Now we just need 20 more to hit our dono goal. And we need 77 likes to get to 200. And we are at 24,087 subs, 13 to get to 24,100. All right, Eli Morgan is coming in for the Royals. First pitch to Wisdom, fouls that one off, 0-1 count. That's awesome, man. And not awesome, the PTSD part, but the dog part, And again, anytime you end up having depression, anxiety, or, you go through, combat, things or breakups or, car accident, whatever it may be, going through tough times in life, to be able to have that companionship, is everything, And again, for someone that had a lot of depression and anxiety, a few years ago, I no longer have those issues anymore, and Paisley definitely is one of the big reasons. And I used to be extremely overweight too, and Paisley is, saved me in that category as well. So, I used to be, closer to 300 pounds, around 290-ish, and now I'm down to about 195 to 200, and I've been able to keep it off for the last 2 to 3 years. So, dogs are, they're like angels, they really are, just amazing companions. There's no doubt about that. 2-2 pitch, high and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Morgan to Wisdom. And if I'm really being honest, if Paisley didn't come into my life, who knows if I'm still here? That's how bad it got. So, I'm really happy, that she's in my life and I can give her the best life. And, she's made my life fantastic, just like you guys. Popped up into right field, and Wisdom flies out, and that is 1 away. But again, I don't eat fast food anymore. I don't really drink anymore. I eat vegetables and fruit like nonstop. And again, I walk 5 miles a day, 7 days a week, and I've done that for 2+ years straight. So, when you can have dedication like that and, the resiliency to, follow through, it really does, make a difference, and, even Brooks Beats, my friend that makes the beats, same thing, he was overweight, almost 300 pounds, we'd party a lot, drink a lot, make beats and, things like that. But, again, he decided to, not party as much and dedicate himself to running. And, now he's doing like fucking marathons, he's lost, over 100 pounds. Like myself. And, it's just great to be able to see people change their lives for the better instead of changing their lives for the worse, and I'm really proud of Brooks. And, both of us have really come a long way in the last couple of years. 0-2 pitch from Morgan to Young, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Cole Young. John with a 20. Appreciate you. 1-2 pitch for Morgan, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Cole Clutch Young. Yeah, me too. I'm really happy. I've been able to get out of it as well. 2-2 pitch, line drive right up the middle and caught by Witt, and that is 2 away. Best pitcher for the M's, Kirby and Wu, I think, right now. And then obviously, Miller has looked good in his first 2 starts, back to the team. And, Hancock has been overall, much better than he has been in previous years. And Gilbert's probably our worst pitcher. And that's crazy to say, because considering he's normally a pretty damn good one. He was an all-star just a couple years ago. But, we have that kind of depth. And obviously we know Castillo is the worst, and that's why they transitioned him into the pen. But I would say, Kirby, might have the record, and the ERA. But I think Wu is our most dominant pitcher when he's on. Wu gives you something that no other pitcher on the Mariners gives you. Kirby is kind of like Greg Maddux, where he hits like spots, and he's more about location instead of top end speed. And Wu tries to throw through the hitters. And when he's on, he's lights out. And again, I love each one of those guys equally. But to me, Wu is probably the most electric pitcher on the team when he's on. Throw to first, as Garver has a little dribbler on an 0-2 count, and that is out number 3. All right, we're going to go to the bottom of the ninth with a 2-0 lead, and hopefully that'll be enough to win. But to, see someone like my buddy Brooks, that couldn't even run, a half a mile, and now, has lost 100 pounds and, did a race where he ran 70 fucking miles, and when you end up being overweight and fat, thinking about running even a couple miles is like crazy. And then to think that he is so mentally tough now and changed all the bad habits out of his life with drinking and partying, and now for the most part is, sober and focusing on running and eating healthy, you can do anything as long as you put your mind to it. And that's really what it is. And you are who you surround yourself around. You surround yourself around bad people, that just want to take advantage of you, or, take advantage of you buying the beers and whatnot. And at some point, you got to get rid of some of those acquaintances that aren't really your friends and, take a step forward in your life. And, me and Brooks are good examples of that, no doubt. Let's go to the bottom of the ninth inning with a 2-0 lead. Rick Riz, he loves it. Next up for the Royals, 0 for 3, catcher Salvador Perez. Batting second, 0 for 3 with 2 Ks, DHing Carter Jensen. And batting third, 0 for 3 with a K, right fielder Jack Caglione. And Mooney is coming in. Let's hope he doesn't blow the game. Normally, he gives up a run, but not two. So, if that means we win 2-1, so be it. But it would be great to win 2-0. But, with Mooney, you just never really know. And also for myself, back when I was overweight and partying and drinking all the time, to be able to walk 5 miles a day, 7 days a week, hell, I could fucking barely walk 5 steps, let alone 5 miles a day, so, and again, he's going to get his, breakout moment. Brooks is extremely talented. Out of all the friends that I've ever worked with, he's by far the most talented one that I've worked with. And, I kept telling him, you just need to keep grinding it out and believe in yourself. And, eventually, your, moment will come where a famous singer or rapper will buy your beat, for 5 to 10 grand. And then you can, focus on just music and not have to worry about doing a job and music. Sometimes all it takes is selling one beat and you might not have to work for a year. It's just a matter of having to grind and grind and grind before you can get to that point. 0-1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Salvador Perez. 1-1 pitch, low and away. Slider missing there by Mooney, and we'll know how good Mooney is within the first 7 pitches. 2-1 pitch and lined out to center, and that is 1 away. There we go. Well, Music, you haven't been watching the Mariners every game because he's not. And when you have an ERA above 6 and you're a closer, he's actually one of the worst on the team this year. So again, it might be, you remembering how good he was last year and the year before, but that's the difference between people that watch every pitch and every game and people that have memories of a player that used to be good, but are, no longer that player. Hopefully he'll get to that point, but Mooney and Castillo actually have been the 2 worst on the team. So, if your opinion that Mooney is the best, that tells me that you haven't been watching the Mariners this season. 1-0 pitch, fouled off there by Jensen. 1 ball and 1 strike from Mooney to Jensen. We're not fair weather fans here. We're fanatics. So again, every game, every pitch, every out, not, watching whenever I feel like it. One pitch, big swing and a miss. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Carter Jensen. Yeah, Busta Rhymes, actually reached out to Brooks But again, a lot of times when you get famous people, they try to steal beats. Obviously, like we know Drake, came out with 3 albums, and there's been a lot of social media, on a lot of lower end artists that, he stole, concepts from or stole beats from, and it's just kind of a sad thing where you get these real famous people that can't come up, with their own beats through their own producers, where they have to find, people that are up and coming, and then they end up stealing their work and act like they made it, or their producers made it and whatnot. So. 2-2 pitch, low and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Carter Jensen. Man, you're getting all your facts wrong, music. 14. Come on, my guy. You're not looking very bright in the chat. Bottom of the 9th, 2-0 Seattle. Nobody on and 1 out. Mooney on the mound. Jensen in the box. 2-2 pitch was high and away. 3-2 popped up and fouled out to first, and that is 2 away. Next up is Jack Caglione. Nice job there by Wisdom getting that ball right on the netting. Yeah. But again, when you're not used to walking or running, and then, it's kind of like you got to find addictions, that are healthy addictions, not, with people partying and drinking and all the bad things. You got to find things like walking and running and, spending time with animals and, getting outside and, the world that we live in. Everyone is just scrolling and, on their phones. And, you got to get outside and smell the fresh air, hear the birds sing, and, spend time with pets. Like, it really does change your life when you fucking just put the phone down and go outside for a little bit, and I definitely was a culprit of that, for a few years, but, I definitely have changed. 0-2 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Jack Caglione. So far, so good here from Mooney, even though he has been overall terrible this season for us. Him and Luis Castillo have been real liabilities. One-two pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Jack Caglione. Yeah. Plus, if you got like diabetes in your family, and other things, it's like, you never know when your time is going to be up, and obviously lifespans for dogs and humans are not long, 2-2 pitch. Caglione grounds out to third, and that is out number 3. Let's go. Big win here for the Mariners. And again, that was one of the better outings for Mooney. It feels like Mooney is good every 3 or 4 outings. And thankfully, he didn't even give up a run. Normally he gives up a run, right? When we're tied or when we're up a run. So it feels really good to get the shutout. And again, remember, the Royals swept us, right? So we're going to try to do it back to them. Great job there by Mooney. Great job by Mooney. Great job by Bizzardo. Great job by Logan Gilbert. And Matt Brash. Everyone, great job. And great job, everyone in the room. Final score, Seattle Mariners 2, Kansas City Royals 0. And when the Mariners win, what do? We fucking dance. Mariners win. Mariners win. Mariners win. Fuck yeah. All right, let's go over the stats here for both teams. And we'll start it off with the Royals first. All right, Michael Garcia, 2 for 4. Bobby Witt Jr., 0 for 4, which is rare. Vinny Pasquantino, 1 for 3. Salvador Perez, 0 for 4. Carter Jensen, 0 for 4. Jack Caglione, 0 for 4. Isaac Collins 0 for 3. Michael Massey 1 for 3. And Kyle Isbell 0 for 2. And let's go with the Mariners. JP 0 for 4. Julio 2 for 4. Randy Arosarena 0 for 2. But he ended up getting on with a walk. Ref Snyder 0 for 3. Canzone ended up going 0 for 1. Patrick Wisdom 0 for 4. Cole Young 0 for 3, but got a run. And then Mitch Garver, the hero, right? 2 for 4 with a single and a home run and 2 RBIs, including the big home run to give us the 2-0 win. Victor Robles 0 for 2. Luke Rayleigh 0 for 1. And Colt Emerson 1 for 3. And then let's look at the stat line numbers. Logan Gilbert, 5.2 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks, 94 pitches, 60 strikes. And then Edward Bizardo, 1.1 innings pitched and got 3 Ks. And let's go over Brash and Mooney. And Brash, 1 inning pitch. He gave up 2 hits. So it's crazy that Brash did the worst out of everyone, but he did get 1 K, but he didn't give up anything. And guess what? His ERA is 0 still. Think about how many guys have an ERA of 0. I don't know if Mason Miller is still at 0, but before Brash got injured, him and Miller were the only guys that had ERAs of 0 at this point. So fantastic job. And the guy that we don't really trust, ended up doing a great job today. 1 inning pitched. And he ended up getting no Ks, but he gave up no hits either. And a great job there by Andres Munoz. 16 pitches, 9 strikes, getting a couple pop-ups and ground outs. Great job, Mooney. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Reflect. Shout out to Bash. Shout out to Yekno. And shout out to Sean. All 5 studs and MVPs donating 20 each so we can get to our goal of 100. And that'll definitely help with Paisley's vet bill. And again, I really appreciate it very, very much. Final score, Seattle Mariners 2, Kansas City Royals 0. Again, we got a game tomorrow, I believe a little bit earlier, around 1. And then we have an early game at 11 in the morning on Sunday. So it's definitely going to be, very interesting with George Kirby, obviously on the mound. And then we have Brian Wu, on the mound on Sunday. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how it all plays out. Yeah, Reflect was in here, for a little bit of a time. So we had at least one mod that was in here for a little bit. So, but I love you guys and I appreciate you guys all day for your help, throughout the chat as well. Shout out to all of the, amazing people that are in this room. I love you guys and I appreciate you guys very, very much. Final score, Seattle Mariners 2, Kansas City Royals 0. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, Trident's up. And for music, I watch a little bit of everything. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, NASCAR, wrestling, you name it, I watch it. And again, just like when we watched the Mariners win today, 2-0 over the Royals. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, Trident's up, and go Mariners.